March 29th, 6:35 p.m. This is a meeting of the Hanson Recreation Committee being audio and visually recorded. In attendance is Melissa Scartesi, Frank Casey, Sheila Morris, and Carolyn Mills, and then multiple caretakers in the audience as well as Tori Gates. Okay, so Audrey said she's going to be a couple minutes late, so we'll pick that up when she gets here. First order of business is to approval of the minutes from March 14th. Kind of works out because Audrey wasn't here that meeting, so she's going to vote on it. Does anybody have any discussion about the minutes or any amendments to the minutes from March 14th? No? Awesome. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as they're printed.
Motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Fantastic. Awesome. I'll hold off on Margaret's discussion until she gets here, obviously. Also hold off on the Hanson Green Initiative until she gets here as well. Okay, so we can start at 1 until Audrey gets here because I want her to see the business plan and also the CPC account balances. We can start that. So we want to start with the discussion of the CPC account balances. In the packet, there should be an email from Diane from the Community Preservation Committee. Tori, if you'd like to give us an update on this.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is an email, as you said, from Diane, and it's just showing us what the CPC Committee has available for funds, and they're asking us to come forward with our needs. And as you can see in the historic resources, there's $175,889, and then there's $1.5 million for undesignated. So we certainly can head for the historic resources, and anything else as we decide we want to do, we could fall under the $1.5 million undesignated.
Is there any discussion on the CPC funds that we see here? Is there anything that somebody would like to use or possibly apply for CPC funds? I mean, I have a couple ideas myself, but I'll go with everybody else.
I was going to ask what it is, so I just found that.
So, yeah, community preservation, they're very specific on what they can spend the money on. They can spend it on any, I believe, town facility.
Yeah, right. Certain things that they must satisfy, right? Like historic, certain percentage.
We use, can we use it for cabins?
The north end, the repairs to the cabins.
So it repairs to the cabins in the north end.
Yeah. So they must spend these funds, and they must spend them in these categories. So we certainly fit one of them 100%, and the other one is 1.5 undesignated.
Well, just the historic resources, just the
gatehouse.
the gatehouse, would that fall under historic resources?
Right.
That does fall under historic resources.
Yep.
It's historic. So, that kind of would bring us into another discussion that we had here about a town meeting article that we submitted to actually fund the research report on the gatehouse. So my thinking was that we would, I personally would withdraw that article and we can try to use CPC to do that, so we're not asking the town for that additional $12,000 to do that, and then hopefully they can facilitate the money that it actually takes to repair it. Another thing that I would like to see if CPC would work on would be the cove, and then also repairs to the captains as well. If they have 1.5 million undesignated, I don't think we'll be using all of that, so I think there'll be plenty of resources for that. Is there any discussion on that?
So what's the process, Lori?
So tonight, if you would just take a vote to withdraw the original submission of the $12,000 for the study for the gatehouse, that will affect the warrant. Now the rest of it, if you take another vote on that you want to vote for the historic resources, the 175.89 and the 1.5 for the gatehouse and the cove. And then I'll submit that, in the deadlines.
But we're not guaranteed.
No.
I'm worried about pulling anything until what if we still ask the town for the 12, but then ask for money to repair the gatehouse from, right?
So there's a couple things that I would caution about that in particular.
Hey guys.
So we're just in the discussions right now about the CPC account balances that are here. So there's a couple things I would caution about that. So right now the town itself is in a massive deficit. that's going to be a discussion when it comes to business plan and the budget that we have here. We're going to be asking the town for money for other things. I would like to explore this, I personally would like to explore this option first before we ask the town for that money. If we needed to, come October town meeting and CPC doesn't work out, then I believe we can put in an article to ask for that 12,000 fund. And this would just hold off for this time. But that's kind of on the other, withdrawal of the fiscal year 23 town meeting. So I kind of want to mix discussions. So does anybody have anything else that they would like to add to the list that we can talk to CPC about possibly repair at the camp with their funds?
I just have a question. I'm sorry, I just came in the middle of this, but we weren't asking town meeting for $12,000. We were just putting this on for CPC to consider. Right? I mean.
No.
Oh.
This was for the town. So
Oh.
So it's a good faith effort after receiving that email.
Yeah, no, I don't think
Yeah.
we should ask town meeting for it. I
Correct.
thought it was just like, something to send to
CPC,
CPC.
we don't need a town meeting article to have CPC consider
Right.
things, but I think once it gets approved by CPC, we might get time
Yeah.
from CPC. So that goes on to the next discussion that we have, but, I would like to explore the cabins, the cove, and the gatehouse, and have those possibly be used by CPC funds. Does anybody disagree with that?
No, that's fine. I mean, they don't have to approve anything. They don't,
No,
that's
but
not
they have
guaranteed.
1.5 million of money that they don't know where it's going right now. So,
Okay.
if this was like $200,000, they might be a little bit more,
Yeah,
but it's not, and obviously we haven't got an estimate on this, but I don't think it's gonna cost $200,000 to fix the cove and the cabins, right? It's kind of, so, if there's no other discussion on the CPC account balances and what we'd like to do, I'd entertain a motion to, talk with CPC about, the gatehouse, the cabins, and the cove.
Yeah.
And using their funds.
Mhm.
Okay. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
All those in favor? Awesome, great. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, a vote please on withdrawing the article.
That's the next point that I'm gonna get to.
Oh.
So there might have been some discussion on that as well. So discussion on the withdrawal of the submission for the fiscal year 23 town meeting article that asks for $12,000 for the gatehouse study. Is there any discussion on the withdrawal of that article? No? Okay, do I hear a motion to withdraw that article from town meeting?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second, okay, great, all those in favor? Awesome, fantastic. So since Margaret's here, we'll skip right over to Margaret. Okay, Margaret, you go ahead, we'll open up your 6:30 appointment for the summer camp proposal.
All right, so I've done everything that I can possibly do. I filled out the application to the Board of Health, I submitted it, given my check. It's a hefty 21-page application. With, I believe, everything that I need that is in there. So I'm just, I guess, formally asking that I have permission to move forward. One of the items that is still can't be done until probably a week or two before are the going over the staff, like all the vaccinations and all that sort of stuff, and all the camper vaccinations. That's like part of the application. The code says that you have to have them prior to day one of opening of the camp. That's what the Massachusetts regulations say. Obviously, I don't have campers now, and I don't have a staff now until I sort of get permission to use that. But as soon as I do that, that will be the last stage of the application process. So I'm hoping that if I have the okay to move forward, and that by the end of April, my goal is to have a full staff in this first week of camp picked, so that I can submit, whatever documentation that I need, because the regulations say, prior to day one of the camp opening, this is what you need. But in order for our Board of Health to make it an approved Board of Health, they have to have all of the documents.
So, I'm sorry, are they asking you that all your staff and your campers have to be vaccinated? Or are they just saying that you need to have proof?
It's like the regular vaccinations, it's like,
Oh, okay.
like the school, yeah, it's not
okay.
a COVID one,
Okay,
it's like
okay.
school health forms, it's just like as if you So it's whatever they give to the schools is what they have to have. Staff have, have to do that.
It's actually refreshing to hear that it's just that one, nobody's causing a fuss.
Yeah,
For a change, so.
I mean, the camp would be mask optional for kids to wear, and staff to do, that, so just like that's what the regs are right now. So, it would still be, camp optional for anybody, but.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Mark, as some of you know, may not know, Margaret has been working on a camp to have here at Camp Quaney for like a year and a half. She started this over a year ago, and she has had to jump through hoops with the Board of Health. It's been like a very long, drawn-out process. So I know Margaret's come before, previous commission and this commission several times, making sure that we're all still good with her doing this, but, as she takes every step, and we've been like, yes, we definitely want you to do it, but I think what Margaret needs is a formal approval from us, because I think before it's been pending Board of Health approval, but she can't get Board of Health approval until she gets approval from us. So it's like circular.
Yes.
So she needs an approval from this board that, yes, we are approving her to have this camp here, that she needs to submit in her final application too. And again, like she said, she has, they won't approve her until like a week before camp when she has all that vaccine information and stuff too. So it's going to be right down to the wire, with the Board of Health.
So, I was just gonna say, any questions?
I was just gonna ask, like, it doesn't have to be lengthy, but can you just give us a quick rundown of just what it is?
So I feel like I've gone over this 40,000 times.
So give us the short version.
The short version is, so it's called Swim and Fitness Camp. It's basically, so I am a U.S. swimming certified coach. I'm also a teacher at Duxbury High School. I can coach Olympians, and I feel like I'm pretty qualified to run a camp. I've been coaching for almost 30 years and teaching for almost 30, more than 30 years. So it is swimming in the morning, and it's not really lessons, but it's more like a swim teamish sort of thing where they have to be a little bit comfortable with that. But it's also fitness, so we'll be doing things, trust building things in fitness, but it's also a science and nature component. So as of now, the afternoons would be more about getting water, examining the water samples, like making magnifying glasses out of recyclable goods and things like that, that kind of stuff. I have stuff for bird watching and identifying things, all that kind of stuff. It's geared towards 7 through 15-year-olds, and they would be grouped by age and skill ability. Last year we had code groups as well. If they tell me how to do code groups, I'll do code groups, whatever. And so it would be 9 to 3, and I'm offering a full day and a half a day. And also last year when I came to the board, I said for each week I'm offering you guys 2 free campers so that you guys could pick, do some sort of scholarship thing and go out and, that would be totally up to you. I would be out of my hands. If you want to do 2 full days or 1 of each, that is sort of like my gift to the commission to try to be the cancer kids, to do that. Right now, I have I'm a swimming aquatics director. I have another teacher to be my assistant director. I have a STEAM and STEM craft award winner as my consultant for STEAM and STEM activities. And I have a school nurse as my medical professional to do all the help with all of that.
Does it cover all the summer weeks? Is that?
So it will be 5 weeks. It would start July, I think it's July 11th, so Monday after July 4th, because July 4th is on Monday this year. So we would start the next week, and it would be 5, 1 week, 9 to 3, Monday through Friday.
Margaret, what's the cost per kid?
So right now, I'm talking again because the price of life has gone up a little bit. So I have decided to increase that just a tiny bit. So for a full week, it would be $425 for full day, and it would be $250 for the half day.
What's the full day hours?
It's 93.
That is,
93. You know, and we're gonna have drop-off, so the Prairie Cook parking lot will be the drop-off zone, so like, it will be assigned time, so that we'll minimize all that, you know, parking stuff, so it'll be like 10-minute increments, so people can come and drop off the kids and start a little bit earlier. I'm hoping to use NHS students in high school to help for their hours, to do that sort of stuff, one hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, to help speed that process as well. Should we ever do that?
Is it all outside?
All outside. So the only reason we would need to use any buildings is if there was severely inclement weather. The evacuation plan or the emergency plan is if like there's a tornado or a hurricane or like severe thunder and lightning, we would need to be in the building. Like Chief Hanson's already reviewed all of that plan. We would have to do a walkthrough because it's been a while since I've been in the basement, but he said if we can get them into the basement, that would be the set place. I'm like,
I don't know, I can't sort of fit in the basement.
I'm not sure about that. There's no all this kind of creepy, I don't think you can set the basement.
how many students would you have?
So I'm hoping to get 70 per week. Yeah, so it's a big deal because we've lost, right, the program down the Cove, which would have been that. And I hope that it's us plus you guys next year. That is really my goal, that we can work in tandem and win, in my opinion.
So I saw the presentation that you gave, oh, sorry, go ahead. Listen.
No.
So I saw the presentation that you gave last time to the board, and it was very thorough, so I do appreciate that. I know I'll forward it to you guys.
Well, the short version was great.
Okay.
I can't imagine the long.
Okay, listen.
No, I'm saying, and I really, the only thing that we need, I guess, is just the vendor contract, right? Is that how that would be set up? So we would just need the vendor contract and then she could do whatever she needed to do. Yeah.
So,
We wouldn't need to provide lifeguards or anything because she's providing a grant. So it's really just.
yeah, so how are you gonna be accepting payment for, is it gonna be check, things like that?
So I have been, but I also have my plan is hopefully, I'm going to start a business banking account so that everything goes into a business banking account. Swim Fitness is again, once I get all my little permissions incorporated or whatever, and I'll have that will be a whole separate thing. I'm going to do QuickBooks to help with managing, you know.
Okay, just producing the receipts that you've made choice, but just won't be an issue, right? That's.
No, it shouldn't be. I'm hoping I'm doing, yeah, it shouldn't, if I'll have a spreadsheet, I've already started a spreadsheet for every, you know, intake on this.
Awesome. Okay, any other discussion on Margaret's summer camp proposal? No? I'm excited that you're doing it this year.
I'm excited. To be honest, I have one more hurdle. I'm pulling out all of my stops. I might actually have a doctor. Because again, the regulations keep changing. I'm finding out they changed from last year. Unless you're a corporation, which I'm not a corporation, I'm just one person trying to do this. They're just making the regulations so hard. And I just did a little networking before I came here. And I think I scored all that, just in case. That was my only, like, you know, I have a registered nurse who's a school nurse who does this for a living. That's my healthcare. And she'll be working. She'll be a consultant, you know, too. And she's a US consultant, so.
I also just wanted to mention too that this isn't a business for Margaret. She's a Hanson resident. She taught, you know, she coached on the beach or, you know, and she just wants to provide recreation for the town. This isn't like, you know, a big money maker or
I just
you know,
want-
business venture. It's just, you know, I mean, it's just purely Margaret wanting to provide beach recreation at the Cove because she loves the camp.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
Also, I know you from Duxbury Schools. So.
Yeah.
I wish there wasn't so many regulations, but
I mean, it's something, like, again,
I get it.
I'm certain, the amount of certifications I have for a non-medical professional is pretty significant. And like the fact that I can go to the Olympics and not take care of things is pretty, like, but it's overkill. But all the other things, I also like the Rainbow Camp. I did find my connection with Rainbow Camp across the street, so I have a connection here too, and I used to work with her. So I'm hoping that she's going to give me a little guidance.
My only other thing is, do we see any issues, like with providing the caretaker and having our staff be with Margaret, you know, for her hours? She's got, because we're low on caretakers and all that kind of stuff.
So you wouldn't really need a caretaker.
Okay, because
You'll be outside.
I'll be outside,
Yeah.
there's no angle.
But I didn't know if you needed access here. I mean, Dory's here like 9
So
years.
again, only if there's an emergency,
Okay.
obviously, we would have, like, that's part of that action plan, we would have to have emergency numbers.
And what bathrooms are we open?
Yeah.
Self-net, right? You're kind of self-net bathroom.
I'm usually, yes, that.
Yeah.
The craft cabin will be the home base.
Okay.
That will be the nursing in the home base, all the documents that I have to have, they have to be in lock boxes and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I have to have a little refrigerator just in case of that.
So you would use the bathrooms in the south end? Got it.
I'm not for the
Yeah.
station yet.
So-
And if it rains, you could run into the pavilion, something.
Yeah,
It
it
wasn't
was, that
dangerous.
would be the pavilion, but we're gonna do tarps on that zone.
Got it.
And so that we'll try to just build ourselves to that space.
Awesome. Everybody else set? Oh, Maddie?
Where do you do tarps? In the Southland?
They will be, we take them up and down every day.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
was
the-
only thinking weddings, I was really.
No, 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 it will be up and down every day. That will
Okay.
be part of the staff thing. Just, we're supposed to provide shade, you know, whatever. I don't know, like, long-term budget versus short-term budget. It's like, I do frugal, obviously, right now, and just clever. And just sort of like Boy Scout sort of mentality. And so it's a shade. I forget what they call them. They have them, they're like, almost like a triangle. And you just put some
A-frames,
Yeah.
the A-frame tents.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just a shading.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the designation, but that's my plan.
Awesome.
Sorry, I have one thing, sorry. So I just want to be clear, so if she's doing 9 to 3, Dory's only here till 2. So that means that from 2 to 3, nobody's gonna be.
She wouldn't need a caretaker though, because she'd be out in the
Yeah,
cold.
it should be outside.
Okay.
Unless
And the
she's-
bathroom
unless
should
she's
be locked.
inside.
The bathroom,
No,
no,
they'll be
they're
open.
locked,
Yeah,
right?
they'll be open,
They're
yeah.
open.
Okay. I'm just,
Yeah, there's no, no, I know what you're saying.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That was gonna be my only answer.
They're open all, like, once for the, like, I can walk through here if I'm.
Right, but there's no, yeah, and I totally get that, and I trust you, but like, a liability, like, we need to have a town staff person here. Insurance purposes, all that. I'm just, if they're in the lodge.
Yeah,
Right, but the cell fence is gonna be open.
So when people camp,
right, they go and use the bathroom.
they use the bathrooms and there's nobody here.
Right.
Okay.
So she like that.
And I have a really no policy.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're not in the actual.
But they're
lodge.
Yeah, okay, I just wanna make
Not
sure.
gonna have staff.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
So,
Okay.
you know, and plus, you know, we have caretakers around that would be, and out here and everything like that, so I think we'll be pretty good with it.
Okay, yeah.
You know, obviously, hopefully this is the first year of many years of you doing this camp, so this will be
Yeah.
kind of the trial run, and be like, what didn't go right, and then, you know, next year we can kind of figure out better procedures and do
And
it.
we want to do like, so that the fire chief wants to do a dry run of all
Yeah.
the stuff that we before, so anybody that wants to come to do dry run, okay, great, there's more eyes on it. The better, the better it is.
I'll bring the kids, I'll have them, you know, do
Yeah.
something crazy.
So-
Figure it out. Okay, awesome, so, if that's all, I will entertain a motion to approve, Margaret Cameron Hickey's summer camp proposal, starting on July 11th for 5 weeks.
So,
Pending approval
Okay.
of Board of Health, all the.
but we can't.
Yeah, we can't do
Yeah,
that, so we have to approve it and then.
Then
but
they have,
because
then
it-
the Board of Health.
So if the Board of Health doesn't approve it, she can't do it anyway.
Right, true.
So we have to approve it, we can't approve it per Board of Health. because
Got it.
The Board of Health will be like, you didn't get a full approval.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
this motion is gonna be to approve, the summer camp starting on July 11th, at the 80-20 vendor contract split. Yeah, that should be it, for 5 weeks, starting July 11th, so. Do I get a second for that?
Second.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
I was gonna second for
I'm already just fighting for the second.
The second where it needs to be. Thank you. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm really working hard to work through all of the lovely legal loopholes, and, you know, this is my application, it's a clear casualty. then once, what I'll do is I will send Dory an electronic version of my basic application. So again, if you guys want to put that on the website, you know, it's just, that's the entry fee one, and then they have to give me what afterwards, but that's just to get it all going.
Margaret, do you have a flyer or anything developed yet that we could put on our website? No, like an advertisement, like a marketing flyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's it. So knowledge management, but this is, I mean, it's the one I have on mine is colorful,
Okay.
but it's not very, it has all the stuff, it has the, I just one last year.
If you want to send me like upcoming, like a little, well, I can put it on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, coming soon.
I had it last year with the advertising one, but
Yeah.
I'll go back into this is just the application.
Awesome, great, thank you. Mark.
Margaret, if you find yourself in a mess with transportation, cars coming in and out, reach out to me. I do buses, so I'm more than willing to help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, like, I figured the same things that Cranberry Grove Field, parking lot, a parent will come up, and that's again, one of those little safety things they don't move. It's got to be like a chalk line around everything. The parents have to drop them off down there, and then the NHS people, everybody kind of shovel them up that way, and then by giving me 10-minute increments, I'm hoping that's going to ease the traffic. And again, I don't know,
Maddie?
but definitely.
The only worry I have is on Fridays, we have weddings.
So we'll just, so A, we'll go through the, whatever the scheduled weddings are. It is, the other camps did it for years here.
Yeah.
We'll just move them so that they're outside that mind. The weddings aren't starting at 2 usually.
I just meant people coming, like.
Oh, yeah, but
Like
I-
they're drunk, like that, it was only the
And it'll
drop
just-
pickup, not like you guys are very far.
Yeah, and we'll just make sure that we're, you know, not where your drop off is, but usually you don't use the Cranberry Grove parking lot.
Yeah, I only meant because it's the one lane road, so I don't like driving it out. Yeah, you guys will be in your own zone, so I'm not worried about you guys being on the bus.
But again, like if we get scheduled with whatever, I
We can see if the-
you know, maybe change the, you know, the flow. So,
Yeah, we can figure that out.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Joanne Bloss.
Julie Bloss.
I just wanted to ask you guys, I don't know, do you have a logo for Camp Colony or
Yes.
for Rec?
Yes.
I haven't talked to Margaret, but I just wonder, do you need to, could she use it maybe on her posters or? Is that legal or?
I can create a marketing piece for you, Margaret. I don't mind doing that, then we can incorporate it on our
yeah,
Facebook page and on our website and on our new Instagram page.
that's not my songs.
Yeah, so that, I mean, yeah, so what I would say is just because we have a lot of lead gen, it's like, continue working with Audrey. I know that Audrey's been doing a lot of work with you on this, just continue working with her. Melissa does a lot of that stuff too, and, you know, collaborate, get some advertising on things. I know, you know, I'll share it, we'll share it.
Yeah, I did try to download the Canva thing on my phone, and that was something I didn't realize that like, you can't really do much on your phone apparently, but I was like, I don't have my own computer, I only have the school computer, I can't download Canva onto it. So it was like, darn it.
You can get an educator's thing and get like a lot more access to campus stuff.
All right, so I'm learning things right now.
I'll connect with you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Margaret, I
Good.
appreciate it.
Awesome. Woo,
Thank
that's-
you.
All right, we're back to this.
Check it out.
So next agenda item we have is Hanson Green invitations, right?
I don't really know what this is either. Judy emailed me a while ago, like before our last meeting that we couldn't attend, and they're doing a green Hanson thing, and they are doing stuff.
I just may have saw a post today about it.
Yeah.
Is it some event?
It's just like green, I don't know. It's like
They
green
go
Hanson,
around the
but
town and pick
I
up
feel like it's
trash.
sort of like Hanson Day.
My husband does it every year, so they all go down, meet at town hall, they get like sectioned off throughout the town, they just go pick up.
Yeah, but she asked me about us setting up a table and doing a craft or doing something, so I get the feeling that it was more like, and I asked her to send somebody here to talk about it, because I don't really, I mean, I just have the email that she sent me, and she kind of is like gone.
I don't know why I just saw that today. It was,
Let me see if I can find the email. But
That's on the 23rd.
that's the 23rd, which I think is their Green Hanson.
Yeah, I don't even know.
friends are in Green Hanson and asked me to help increase attendance and volunteer participation, so I wanted to mention that we would love for Camp K to have a table at the event, April 23rd from 9 to 1.
Oh.
Last time you guys had a fun activity and sold beach passes. We'll have a DJ and free pizza for volunteers. We have a big group that we'd like to assign to Camp Kawani for cleanup. Can I coordinate with someone?
So this is, it's Earth Fest.
Oh,
So
okay.
so April 23rd, 9 to 1:30, Hanson Town Hall. So 9 to 11, they're doing a town-wide litter pickup, which, can Camp Kawani be part of it?
Well, that's what she said. She's got,
No, that's just a table, like have this, people pick up
Yeah,
trash.
she said
from
that
it.
she wanted
Yeah.
to.
that's what she said.
And then
Yeah.
11:30 to 1:30, Town Hall lawn, bike donation, discover eco-friendly products, composting, DJ entertainment.
Yeah. So they're asking if we want to have a table to participate in that. I'm away that weekend, so I can't.
I'm
I'm
also.
all in.
Okay.
I think that's
What could we advertise?
We can advertise the STEAM program.
I know, yeah.
Sarah Margaret's camp.
Yeah, Margaret's camp.
Drama, we can ask them all, drama kids, paint nights, everything like that.
Yeah.
Anything, any vendor that we use that we could possibly advertise for, ask them for a flyer.
We could do the kayak,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, Roger, yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that. You know, there's a bunch of those wooden, did we cut up those wooden slates from the logs out back, Roger?
Yeah.
So we can do that, we can take some, I mean, I'm sure we have some paint in the arts craft cabin or something like that.
But
can just
do we
tuck
have
it.
anything left over from the Winter Wonderland? Any crafts? Oh.
Snowflakes maple.
That's it.
Snowflakes.
So we could,
I can make like a little scrap.
yeah, we could do a table, and I have a Camp Kawani tablecloth. So
Okay.
we could use that. I have a 10 by 10 easy up we could do.
Okay, so Melissa and Carolyn, you guys are in for that?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Add that to our agenda.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion
Sunday.
to set up a table at Hanson Green on 4/23/22 for the.
Do you want me to reach out to Judy about that?
Yeah, you want to reach out
Yeah.
directly? All right, good.
Could anyone get like a list of vendors for me so that I can reach out and get flyers? I'm not really sure.
Lori should
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
I think it's only 5 vendors that we have.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I can get that for you too.
Yeah.
I'll send it.
Yeah,
So-
we can also create some sort of like marketing flyer to hand out, you know, just with everything, like some sort of like newsletter type thing that we can hand out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it may be a good idea, maybe we can ask, paint night lady, or maybe we can, subsidize like a raffle, so like, we can ask people for their information, they can put it in there, kind of like what we did for the town green 2 years ago, or last year I think it was, and, get some email addresses and things like that, maybe give away a paint night or something like that.
You should do like a suggestion box too, of what kind of rec do you want?
Yeah.
So that's actually gonna be on our next agenda, because Melissa did a great survey about that, and we got a lot of responses from it. So I just haven't had time to put it on the agenda yet, because that's gonna be a little bit of discussion. So we can definitely do that too, if you guys wanna do that, but we kind of already did that like a month ago. So, okay, so I'll entertain a motion to have a table for the Hanson Recreation Committee at the Hanson Green Earth Fest, apparently it is, 4/23 and 2022. Second, okay, all those in favor? Awesome, great. Okay, so, the next one is the discussion of the business plan. This is gonna be a little bit of a haul. So, I was asked at the Board of Selectmen meeting last one I went to create a business plan for the people. So I went through, and this is the first business plan I ever made, so forgive me if it's anything that's crazy. So, I made a business plan for fiscal year 23 and 24, and what we expect to make and the cost that we expect to spend. It's kind of a little backwards. So as the mission objectives, I'm just going to go through it real fast. And this is from our last policies and procedures that was approved at the Board of Selectmen to advance recreation and leisure time activities to enhance the quality of life. The purpose of the Recreation Department is to meet diverse recreation, culture, athletical, and leisure time pursuits of the residents with a broad-based, comprehensive, and inclusive program. Recreation programs are organized to encourage participation and enjoyment and should be held at a safe and well-equipped facility on a year-round basis. That's the policy procedures. And under that, I said, provide excellent recreation for all residents of the town of Hanson while maintaining a historical Camp Kawani for future generations. So that's kind of like the unofficial mission statement that I think we would have. And the next page is going to be the fiscal impacts that we had of COVID-19 on the camp, starting in fiscal year 2018. So the total, these are the pre-COVID overviews. So that year we spent $179,600 in salaries. $87,000 in operating expenses, and the total revenue we brought into the camp was $269,000 and change. Fiscal year 19, you can see that, obviously half of that year was when COVID started in March of that year, March of 2020. The salaries was at $184,853 with the operating expenses of $107,000 and change. Revenue dropped, obviously, because of COVID to $204,000. The years of COVID, which would be fiscal year 21 and a portion of 22, we can see that our salaries dropped significantly, down to $95,000, and operating expense was just over $50,000 with a revenue of $66,000, essentially $150,000 loss from fiscal year 18. This is fiscal year 22 expenses. We are expecting to spend $91,000 and change on salaries, with the operating expense of $60,000. The expected revenue that we're supposed to be bringing in, and this can actually be revised with some new numbers that we got from Todd, is $184,000 and $453. So, does anybody have any questions about that? No. Okay. So the next, this is kind of just a continued. Obviously, Camp Kiwanee is all lumber. It's all lumber and labor is what we need to maintain the camp. This chart right here, while it doesn't go through very well, shows the increase of the lumber prices since the pandemic started, which has been over 400%, which means that our cost for maintaining the camp from lumber is over 400% increase. Everybody sees that. The total salary expenses for fiscal year 23 and 24. So in fiscal year 23, if we were full staff, we had everything, our expected salary expenses would be $200,000. This would be with the $70,000 worth of camp staff, $55,000 for clerical staff, $2,250 for a facilities manager, and $2,250 for an event coordinator, and also $30,000 additional for the COVID staff. Fiscal year 24 salary expenses, I bumped up by 5.25% since minimum wage is going to be increasing in January of 23 to $15 an hour, and that's assuming that we bump up everybody's salary to meet that 5.25% wage increase. So our expected total expenses would be for salary $210,500 if we fund all those positions. Is there any questions about that? No. So total salary expenses is kind of just, it's continuing on with some assumptions that are there. So January 2024 wage increase, 2023, sorry, is 5.25% due to the minimum wage in Massachusetts. Also, when we have Cove staff, the wages to be usually subsidized by the Cranberry Cove fees that we have. And then the recreation director positions will not be filled in 23-24. That's the assumption. We don't have anybody for recreation director. We just wouldn't fill that position. Camp staff for the seasonal part-time caretakers. Just kind of clarify what camp staff is. Okay, great. So the next page is going to be total camp expenses for 23-24. For fiscal year 23, we're looking at about $94,500 worth of total camp expenses. That's including, $4,000 recreation, back office expenses, utilities, maintenance, and building repairs. For the fiscal year 24, I increased that roughly 10%, and saying that our camp expenses will be a total of $103,950. Any questions about that, Mark? Awesome. So the total camp expenses, this is including a 10% cost increase on services and goods to maintain the camp. Cranberry Cove needs the extensive work to be brought back to its natural form in the cove before the sand. And it's also saying that CPC funds are being explored to provide updates for the cabins and gatekeepers house. Recreation budget needs to be expanded to meet mission statement. We all know that the recreation committee, oddly enough, is 10% recreation, 90% camp one. Yeah. So we kind of need to balance that out a little bit more. We can't really do that with an unbalanced budget right now with what we have and things like that. So the total camp revenue, and I'm actually going to change some of these numbers. So the total camp revenue that we're expecting to have, this is actually from Audrey's price that we did for fiscal year 23, should be $373,250. The fiscal year for 24 would be the $372,000.
So the reason that 23 versus 24 is higher in 23 is because we have more weddings this year because of the COVID year when people, canceled and had to rebook. So what's forecasted for 24, it's more in line with a normal year.
And also, you know, the wedding revenue dropped, and it's about the same number, but the wedding revenue drops to $300,000, but the camping goes up substantially to $20,000, since people, you know, the ceremonies is also on top of that as well. So kitchen fees, hopefully, when we start collecting those kitchen fees and then private parties. So, any questions about that? No, awesome. So total camp revenue 2024 continued. So these prices, this is just more facts. Price increases, the camp was approved on 12/14/21. 23 at me writing this had 34 weddings already booked at the old rate. The projections are based on 15 weddings booked at the new rate in fiscal year 23. So that is from July of this year to July of next year. Fiscal year 24 projection based off of 40 weddings being booked during the wedding season at the new rate. So I think 40 is a good number, like Audrey had in her packet. Now obviously wedding revenue is the main source of income of the camp. Potential revenue increases for fiscal year 24 through 28. Selling Cove passes to subsidize for the Cove staff that's there. That will reduce our burden on the staff payments. Renting out campsites and cabins online to make it easier for that. And this is actually something I wanted to bring up at the next price point is potentially making it so we have a rolling increase of rates across our board by 2 to 5% every year when it comes to functions, just to keep up with the inflation and the prices, so we don't get stuck in the same situation we were in before. And then also, I'm still stuck in the idea of food truck rentals. And we just had a great food truck that moved to Hanson too. So I mean, if we can facilitate a way for, you know, it may not be this year, it might be next year. We actually have Cove staff there in the beaches, like how it used to be back in the day. We have a food truck there that people can just run to, get waters and snacks and things like that. I think that would still be a pretty good idea to bring in just a little bit of revenue. And then the last page here, some upcoming projects that we have for fiscal year 23-24. Cove renovation, Gatekeeper's House, and the cabin renovations. Does anybody have any discussion or points that they want me to add on here, or any other revenue sources that we can possibly get into the camp?
No, I think this is awesome. No, this is great. Thank you.
No problem. So on to this business plan discussion. We have a budget in here in front of us as well. I'm going to roll this into the business plan discussion, even though the budget's not that good agenda item. So this is. Let me try to think about what I'm saying before I say it. So the department request from the town, we're slated to have an expected revenue of $224,000 in fiscal year 23, which is from July to July. We put in a departmental request of $349,000, which is $125,000 free cash subsidy from the town for us. We're not going to get that $125,000. That was more of a departmental request. As you guys saw in the email that was sent from Lisa, she's asking every department to cut back substantially in what they're going to be bringing to the town, because we are at a $900,000 deficit. So I came up with 3 different scenarios here. I came up with fiscal year 23 without free cash, a fiscal year 23 with $50,000 of free cash, and a fiscal year 23 with $75,000 of free cash. And that's the rows 3 through 5 on the end there. So I'll walk through this a little bit. I'm sorry, it's a lot of numbers. So you have the line column there. So I'll be referencing things by lines. The 2022 estimated expenditures that are here, I went through what we've been spending so far and divided that essentially by the number of months that we're here, and then added the additional months on there. So
hold on one second.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. So this first one is right, but this one right here, this is with the 125.
Yes,
that was the
that's
125, and then without the free cash is nothing,
then 50,
and then 50 in free
and then
cash,
75.
and then 75.
Yep.
Okay.
So the column I'm going to start
Oh,
with is
sure,
column
it's
2.
right there on
Yeah,
top.
so I was trying to get it so it fit on one page. So I didn't have
No,
multiple pages.
I don't have the right glasses.
Yeah, that's okay. So I'm going to start with the second column here. So this is the estimated expenditures. These are not hard numbers. We don't know those hard numbers until the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
But what I did was I went in here and I essentially divided it by the certain months and how much we've actually spent, plus went to past fiscal years and how much we actually spent on certain items. So that's our expected total budget for fiscal year 22. We would spend $192,000 and change. Does that make sense? Because that's kind of the basis of everything that's here. Okay, great. So the departmental request for which is in column 3, that goes through and gives us the cash infusion for $125,000, which we're not going to get, which brings our total budget to $349,000. That's more of a wish list. That's not something that, you know, I'm very doubtful that we'll even see that much money. So from the departmental request that we have on there for fiscal year 23, we can go to the next option, which is column 4. That is the fiscal year 23 without free cash. So changes to this: the recreation director salary would get no money. Camp staff would get $65,000 with camp staff. Clerical support would be $55,000, and then no other positions would be funded at the camp. The $65,000 we're expected to spend, an estimated $60,000 this year, so this is worst case scenario if we just had $224,000 in the budget that we had. So on that being said, the electricity on line 8, let me start with 7. So outsourced project would get 0. Electricity would be $7,500, and that's through all rows that are here. Natural gas is $5,000, water's $2,000, building repairs is $15,000. That's cabin repairs. That's obviously lodge repairs, things of that nature. Ground maintenance would be $2,500. That would be things like saw blades, weed whacker, power washers, things like that. Contracted services.
Do these match up to Dory's budget?
Which budget? The budget that
Like
we...
account that Dory gives us?
At the very moment, no, because
Okay.
these are estimated for fiscal year 22. So at the end, so this is if we were on June 30th.
Because I did this already when we proposed the rate increase, and these were Dory's lines. So I'm just trying to line them up to see if they match up.
Yeah, so
I'm not
you might
seeing-
have different lines.
Okay.
Over too. So what I did was I took the budget. Dory, do you want to give a copy of the budget?
Yeah, it's right there.
Nice. So this essentially matches. It should be a 1-to-1 from salaries and wages down to operating expenses. So everything that's in here should be in here,
Okay.
including the swim team.
Okay,
Well, swim team's actually not in here, but it's in here. So,
okay.
so yeah, it should match this 1-to-1 for what we have. If I missed something, please let me know because I'll go back. I had to do this by hand because the budgeting software was down. So, thank you. Contracted services. So this is for things like the printer. This is for things like the
Wedding wire,
Yeah, wedding wire, dumpster. That would be set at $4,000.
So hold on a second.
Mhm.
So we went through this already, and contracted services in 20 was $15,000, fiscal year 20. So we did the budget and what we spent in the last year before COVID, and we spent $15,000 in that line in 2020. So we were gonna bump it to 25,000, but now it's down to 4,000.
So what you guys might have done back in fiscal year 2020
No,
or so.
we did this when we did the rate increases, like we just did this.
Yeah, but so the contract service that you have from fiscal year 20 though, right? Are you guys assuming that the contract services like electricians, plumbers and things like that?
I don't know what it was for. I got the budget from Dory on what was spent on that line in fiscal year 20, and they spent $15,000 on that line.
Yeah, but we're not going by fiscal year 20, we're going by fiscal year 22. So
I
this
know
is
that,
without.
but we're dropping that line. That was the last full year of full expenses of the camp.
Yeah,
Before COVID.
and that's also when we had a budget of, what was the budget that year total? What
The
that year
operating
total
cost was $85,000 that year.
Okay, so the operating cost is $85,000 that year. For no free cash injection, what we have the operating cost right now is $72,000.
No, I get it, but so I don't know why we would have spent $15,000 in a year, and then now we're expected to drop that to $4,000.
I don't know why we would spend that in a year.
Is it electrical and stuff like that, or is it not?
No, I put electrical in here.
No, I mean like a contractor, like if we needed somebody, not necessarily a roof project, because that was a different line, but if we needed somebody to come in because we had a hole in the roof, does that come out of contracted services?
No, that would come out of building maintenance.
Okay.
And that would also come, so that's.
I just want to make sure
And
that
then,
we
like-
have enough money and it's just those sort of repairs. Then
So the other thing
yeah.
is too, is that these are technically, and Dory can correct me if I'm wrong, these are technically two separate budgets. So I could put 72,500 in cove expenses down here on line 25.
Oh, I
Or we
get
can
that.
still use it for.
Right, I
Yeah.
get that, I
So,
get that,
so
yeah.
if it was fiscal year 20 had that at $15,000, they may have considered that contracted services was electrical, plumbing,
Okay,
things like
all
that. I'm assuming that that's building maintenance would be under
Yeah.
electrical and plumbing and things like that.
I just want to make sure we're covering
Yeah,
ourselves.
and
in
contracted
these things.
services would more be like the services that we have contracts with, like Dory said, the dumpster, the printer,
Okay.
things like that, that actually get maintained and updated every month. We get a set bill from it.
Okay,
So,
I'm good.
okay, so $4,000 for contracted services. Telephone is $1,000. Advertising, I bumped this to $500 just because if we wanted to do anything for the wedding pamphlets, things like that, you know, like the Green Day, we can do that. Linen services, $4,500, I slated that for in case they have a price increase. We also make money back on linen services, so Dory, we buy them at 6 and then we sell them at 10, I think it is, for the linen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's more just so we can pay out. Office supplies, I bumped that down to $1,000. Maintenance supplies for $5,000. Cleaning supplies, $2,500. Fuel, vehicle fuel and supplies, $500. That is supplies for the gator, fuel for the weed whackers and things like that for the year. Fuel costs going up, it's kind of crazy, but.
That's a
I know.
It is a tight number, it is a tight number. So program supplies, $2,000. Special events, $5,000. That would be like the Winter Wonderland, spectacular we can do. Swim team, still at 0. Meetings and mileage is $500, and then code expenses is $14,000, bringing the total operating expense to $72,500. We have indirect costs, which is Dory's health insurance and benefits, which is $31,500, and that brings us to a total budget with the salaries and the operating expenses and the indirect costs, $224,000, which is what we have to meet. So, and that's our budget without any free cash. Does anybody have any discussions about that particular row, or, I'm sorry, column, I'll make it column row. Okay.
Dory, do we have anything, for, like, supplies, like chairs and tables and things like that? What line would that come out of? Like if we had to, like the sweetheart table that we had to buy, or if we want to buy 10 picnic tables this summer, like what line would that come out of?
That would come out of probably either maintenance supplies or ground maintenance. The titles are not exactly specific to what we actually need.
Right.
But it would either be wouldn't be building repairs, it would be ground maintenance or maintenance, probably maintenance supplies. Just, maintaining the lodge with additional furniture.
We might be able to take out program expenses too, if you really want to, but. Okay, I mean, how much do we spend on that stuff every year?
We don't, but we need to, that's the
Yeah, so
problem.
we need to, so what is
That's
it?
the issue.
So what is it enough to justify us adding a budget line in there that we would only add?
No, I just want to make sure that, if we have a line in there that it's funded appropriately so that we can buy that kind of stuff.
Okay, okay, so any other questions about that column? No? Okay, so I'll move to the next one, which is fiscal year 23, if we get a $50,000 free cash infusion from the town. The biggest difference that you'll have here on in the salaries and wages is you'll have $22,000 in the recreation director budget, and then you'll have $74,000 instead of $65,000 in the camp staff, bringing the total salaries and wages to $151,000. In the operating expenses, we have the first 4 rows stay the same. Those are just utilities that we know, water, gas, things like that. I put $23,000 for building repairs. Ground maintenance is still at $2,500. Contracted services is still at $4,000. $1,000 for, it's easy to like this. $1,000 for telephone, advertising is $500. We have linen services $45,000, $1,000 for office supplies. We have $5,000 for maintenance supplies, $2,500 for cleaning supplies. Vehicle fuel is still $500. Program program supplies is $2,000, and special events would be up to $10,000. And then we would have $500 for meeting and mileage, and then COVID expenses would be $20,000.
So COVID expenses.
COVID expenses, anything that has to do with the COVID expenses.
Except for salary, it's not in salaries.
It's not a salary, no, salaries is a different line of here, we would still not go into COVID.
Right.
The COVID, if we, and that's a discussion we're gonna have a little bit more down the agenda, but these budget scenarios do not fund COVID.
Well, I feel like we're not going to fund the vote this year. It's going to be in pretty bad shape. I think.
So I'm sorry, let me rephrase. We're not gonna be able to fund the COVID staff.
Right.
We will be able, with this budget of the $50,000 free cash, we'll have $20,000 to update the cove and do things in the cove that we need to get up.
That's right, yeah, like
Yes,
maintenance of
so
the
so maintenance of the cove is
Yeah.
down the operating expenses and actual salaries. In none of these situations do we have cove staff being hired. We haven't got any applications for cove staff, so we have no reason to fund it up here and rather put it down to operating expenses. That giving our total operating expenses of $91,500 with indirect cost of $31,500, bringing our total to $274,000, which is exactly $50,000 over the expected number. The less likely scenario is the $75,000 in free cash. This will give $44,000 into the recreation director budget, $74,000 for cove, and $55,000 for the clerical staff, bringing our total salaries and wages to $173,000. The biggest differences on this line is 11, which is building repair, which is bumped up to $26,000. We have the special events, which still stays at $10,000, and then the cove that also still stays at at $20,000. So most of that, $75,000 of free cash would go into the salaries range, bringing our total budget to $299,000.
So I have a question. In your business plan, it says here that,
I think it was on the first page. That's right.
it's 34 weddings already booked at the old rate,
Yep.
and the number that Dory gave me when I presented to the Board of Selectmen is 56. For fiscal year 23, we have 56 weddings already booked. So I just want to make sure that this 224 is accurate, because when we did this in December, we were expecting $306,000.
The 224 we have to use, because that's the number that Todd gave us.
Okay,
So we even if we got 100 weddings next year,
yeah,
we still have to use the 224.
okay,
We can't say we're gonna make $500,000 next year. The number that Todd gave us, which is the 224, is our expected revenue as a town budget of fiscal year 23. So anything we make over this is great as far as I'm concerned. So if we do book, 50 weddings next year in fiscal year 23 at the new rate, and like we're rolling in dough, then we have a good free cash ourselves as a department to use, and we don't have to ask the town for money anymore. But
So Dory, I have a question for you then. If 224 is what Todd gives us, but we actually bring in 350,000, what happens to that extra money?
So the 224 is the number that we're using, because that's what's on the books, not what you and I saw, the 56 weddings that's coming in. So in the October town meeting, we'll look at it again, and more revenue will come in, and then we can add to our budget.
Okay.
So that's the number, 224 is what we actually have received.
Okay.
We know there's more coming in, it's on the books, we just don't have the deposits yet.
Gotcha.
October, we'll have more money in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my thinking of this is I would present this to the Board of Selectmen. It is a $75,000 cut from what we originally had the budget at. They asked us to cut cash, we cut $75,000 out of it. Does anybody have any discussion about any of these items, want to move anything around, anything like that? I'm open to it, so.
The chance of being clueless, but again,
I'm
when money
clueless.
comes into the can from weddings, does it go to the town and then we ask for it back? It goes into the can.
Goes to us.
Like you said, so if there's additional, that becomes.
We have an enterprise account, which is totally separate from the town.
Okay, two different things.
So this $50,000 will give us a cushion, so we're not in the same situation next year that we're in this year if things go to hell. Essentially is what this will do. Anything after that just means we would have that extra revenue that we don't have to give. We don't have to ask the town for money. Then here, I have a prediction that it's going to be a lot harder to ask the town for money next year than it will be for this year. So, and with the current situation that we have, the 50,000 gave us a good cushion.
My only comment would be is the recreation director line. I mean, personally, I would rather see that 22,000 going back into things that we need at the camp instead of a rec director this year, or fiscal year 23. I'm not saying like forever, but where we are going to be strapped and we've raised our rates, I think that, you know, we need to put a little bit of money into the camp to make our rates, our new rates justifiable, you know? I mean, if we're charging $7,500 now for a wedding, and we've got dilapidated picnic tables out there, I mean, that's kind of, like, I feel like just for this year, if we're gonna get the money from town meeting, I think that we should put some money back into the camp and what we need out there to make it worth the $7,500.
Yeah,
And then next year, when we're, you know, flush with cash because we've had all these great weddings and, you know, we're in a much better place financially, then we pursue additional staff options.
the rec director line there is assuming we hire for one of the two positions we got approved by wage and personnel, which is the facilities manager or the event coordinator.
Well, wouldn't that go under camp staff though, or clerical?
We would put that under recreation director.
But it's not a recreation director.
Recreation director. So the line for recreation director, Dory, so we can use that for different.
Yes, because it's a
Positions.
salary, so exactly, Mr. Chairman, so the recreation director is the software that has that line item. So I think the thought was that salary line item to use for a facilities manager and a events coordinator. So it doesn't need to be.
It's not for a recreation
No,
director.
it's not a recreation director. So, and this is, so once an employee hits 19 and a half hours, we legally have to give them, I think it is over 19 and a half hours, or is it exactly 19 and a half hours?
Over 19 and a half, you must offer.
We must offer benefits.
Yeah.
So this is assuming that that person who we hire at a $20 an hour rate
Yeah.
is working 19 and a half hours for the whole year
Yeah.
part-time.
Yep.
So the $22,000, I can rephrase that, but
Okay.
when the board of selectmen goes, if they wanted to look this up, I want it to be exactly how they would see it in their budgeting software that they have there.
Right.
So the recreation director position is not actually a recreation director, it is one of the two positions that we would fill from wage and personnel, which would be the facilities manager or the event coordinator.
Okay.
If we had the free cash from $75,000, we could be able to fill both of those positions. So,
Who coordinates the events now?
so that is a combination between Dory and Renee who's in the office. Yep.
So it's not necessarily like an events coordinator for like the Winter Wonderland stuff. It would be more like to help with the bookings because there's a lot that goes into a wedding and there's a lot of paperwork that's needed and backup and the caretakers need all kinds of information and phone numbers and all that. So it would be more somebody to coordinate all of that stuff for the caretaking staff.
So, Melissa, got a question?
I just have one, so what do we see, you know, co-staff zero across the board?
Yes.
I mean, what do we?
Co-staff, I can't envision a scenario this year where we will hire anybody at the Cove.
Not this year, but.
Next year's, next year's a different story. Like next year, hopefully the Cove has a ray of sunshine on it, the bees are dead, we have lifeguards applying by the thousands, right? Like hopefully next year we can have as many Cove staff as we could possibly imagine, right? This year, and that's a discussion we'll have on the agenda. There's no situation I can see that.
I agree.
Does that make sense though with your question about the recreation director?
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure we weren't hiring for recreation.
So would you still like to change that out or would you?
No, because I think the event planner is super important. So if that's what that recreation director line is for, then yes.
So, and also the budget line for building repairs and Cove expenses, we'd be using those still, but if we got CPC funds for that,
Yeah.
the $20,000 for Cove expenses, you know, if we got CPC funds for it, it'll be fine, right? So like we'll be okay. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about this budget plan that I presented? No, okay.
When do you go over this with them?
Their next meeting is on Tuesday. The chairman said he wanted to see a business plan
Okay.
before the May town meeting, so I was going to ask you to put on the agenda for Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That being said, I will entertain a motion to approve the business plan and the fiscal year 23 budget.
So moved.
Thank you.
Yep.
You got a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Thank you
Okay.
for putting this together.
No problem. I'm losing sleep over it. And I will let everybody know that, I'll be at the board select meeting on Tuesday if I get put on the agenda. If there's gonna be more than if there's gonna be 3 or more people, 4 people there, please let me know so we can have an agenda posted, for the board select.
I will go.
You will go,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm not saying that anybody has to go, it's terribly important, so,
Oh, yes.
but if anybody is gonna be there, if we have, 4 people going, then we need to have an agenda posted, and so, okay, awesome, thank you very much for that.
What about capital, I know we're jumping, maybe
Yeah.
jumping back, but capital improvement, when do we go before them? Does that happen before town meeting or?
So, once Dory sends off the stuff to the CPC, I think they don't meet very often, I think they meet
They just
once a
met,
quarter or
they
something
met
like
the
that.
same with the 200.
Yeah, they don't meet very often, so
Yeah.
I would imagine they probably give us a date then, Dory.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So undetermined at this
Okay,
time.
all
So I cannot imagine they'll meet before town meeting. Town meeting's the 7th of May, so
Yeah.
if they just met, they might meet once a month, but,
Yeah, all right.
but yeah,
Let me know.
I'll let everybody
I'll go
know.
to that
Yeah, I'll let
too,
everybody
yeah.
know about that as well, so.
April 13th.
April
Yeah, okay,
13th.
on that email.
Yep, so it says, those of you who represent the Housing Authority, Planning Board, Historic Commission, and Conservation Commission are encouraged to speak in your respective groups as soon as possible to obtain such feedback and report back at the April 13th CPC meeting.
Yeah, but that also we would only put on the agenda if we fill out the proper paperwork before the meeting as well,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't assume it's gonna be that way. But if Dory can follow up, so.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Okay, so discussion on the need to launch floor being sanded and polished. Dory, I'll let you take this over.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I know we all spoke about we all know the floor is the showcase. And to have it professionally done like we do every year, everything's gone up, but it will be between $2,700 to $3,000, somewhere in there. So, we look within our budget, that's very difficult to fund, but my thought, I'm just waiting on an answer, but my thought is this, that we updated that article, we had the $50,000 article for the non-tube wiring, and we amended it to include fixtures. And if you look up fixtures, the definition, flooring is a fixture. And our article says updating fixtures. And if you look at fixtures, it says flooring. So I've submitted the request to see if that could be paid out of that. If that could be done, great. If it can't, we have to I think it's something important that I think everybody wants to fund that. And I think we look at probably maintenance supplies where you see there's a $6,000 figure that we'd probably be able to take it out of there. It's very, very close because you don't want to have to infuse salaries at the end of the year. But I'm just waiting on that answer. So I think your vote tonight is regardless of the method of payment, is that something that you want to do?
Yeah, we absolutely can move forward with it. When Dory told me that at the board selecting meeting, I was like, well, that's quick.
I know.
Somebody said, a fixture, I was like, what's a fixture? That doesn't, I was like, okay. Yeah, so
Do we need to get vendor quotes from that for that, or?
I think it's under a certain.
Under
amount.
It's under 10,000, so it'd be best business practice, and we would be able to use the company that we've been using because we know he's fiscally responsible and does a fantastic job. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if we can get an actual, if you can just have the quote written up in paper.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fine, but,
Yeah, moving forward,
okay.
if that's how you vote tonight.
Okay, so does anybody have any discussion on the floors?
No.
No? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve, getting the floors sanded and polishing at the earliest convenience humanly possible, even being taken out of the fixtures or the maintenance supply budget items.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? I was like, no, he's gonna second. I was like, everybody said they wanted the floors done. I was like, this is crazy. Okay, so discussion on Chester.
Dory, I just want to confirm, that's hardwood floors by Brian Air, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've used him in the past.
Yep.
So next discussion item, this one's, I'm very heated about this one, but discussion on the Chesney, I don't get emotional very often, but discussion on the Chesney Consulting Services proposal from Camp Kawani and Cranberry Cove. Conservation Committee wants us to spend, I believe it was $17,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So they want us to spend $5,000 on existing condition plan, $3,000 on preliminary design, $8,000 on final design, and then $1,000 on meeting fee. This is for the erosion at the camp. If I may for a second, the conservation's biggest concern is the sand going into the pond and the water that's going around the cove. This came up after last year when we had that once in 100 years rainstorm where we got 18 inches of rain in 35 minutes or some craziness like that. We don't have the money to fund that study. They're saying that we have to be the ones to fund that study. Conservation will not pay for it. And in my opinion, if we have any money for the cove that can be spent on the cove, I would rather spend it on the landscaping design and getting the cove functional to the public before I spend it on an erosion study. If somebody's making this. So,
Because this doesn't even solve the problem, this just creates a plan for us to then spend more money to solve the problem.
yeah, it's $18,000 for somebody to tell us that this is what you need to do, and then we need to hire somebody else to do it. So I'd rather spend, $1,000, $2,000 on having a landscaper come in here saying, this, and honestly, if we paid for this, once we have a landscaper come in and do something with the beach, the whole plan's gonna change. Because there's gonna be, there might be retaining walls over here with, some lumen, so, that's all I'm gonna say about it.
So what is conservation expecting from us with this?
I think conservation, and actually, Dory, you could probably answer that better than me, so.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for a phone call to get specific information. So I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that it would be our fee to pay, that we would accept this project and move forward on that. And I think that needs to, to be done before we do anything at the cove. I think having programs like we talked about at the cove is fine, but to do anything at the cove.
So when we spoke with conservation, when Frank and I went to the meeting, they said that they were two separate projects. The beach project was one thing. We have like a thing that we have to create, blah, blah, blah. But they were keeping these as two separate things. One being the beach landscaping and the other being the erosion.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the notice of intent that I know you were involved with, that filed with DEP.
Yep.
I think that was for
The beach.
Okay.
Landscaping.
Yeah. So that I think is still out there, and then this is a separate erosion thing
Yes.
that they're looking at.
Yes.
That they want us, I believe they want us to fund for the erosion piece. Yeah.
And that has to be fixed before any of the bathhouse or the beach house down there has any work done to it.
Yeah.
That water problem has to be
That's what
figured out
this is,
before.
because of the erosion, right? Right.
Yeah, and I'm not in disagreement that there's a water issue down there. There absolutely is a water issue down there.
Yeah.
The only disagreement that I have is that we don't have the $18,000 to pay a consulting fee, and then it's probably going to cost us another.
Oh, I understand that, yeah.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, how long has that bathhouse down in the cove been flooding for? How many years?
I've been here for 3, so 3.
3 years, okay, so at least 3
But
years.
this last year was the worst.
Probably 15 years, right? So I mean, like, it's not like it's a new issue that just got happened by this flood. I mean, it's
Oh, no.
a 15-year issue, so,
But I'm just saying, before any money goes into the beach house, or bathhouse, whatever you call it, the landscaping and everything else has to be.
Yeah, that's more what I'm concerned about is the landscaping of the actual cove than the erosion, because the landscaping will change how it flows down there anyway. So, I don't want to have to pay for this guy for a study, and then the next month we decide to have the landscaper come in here and put something in there, and he's just going to come back and be like, what the hell is going to do the beach, right?
Right, that's
So,
great.
So okay.
I think we just table this.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too is, we're not expecting to have staff at the cove, but we are expected to probably, swimming your own risk and have the cove at least open, which the issue is the bees. That doesn't, the bees still have a bee problem down there. Are we going to be able to, can we dig the sand out? Can we we can't touch the beach without the Conservation Commission approving that.
Right.
So right now it's sitting there, we are supposed to open the end of June. You know what I mean? And between now and then, we have to take the wasps, we're gonna have a bee problem again, somehow.
So that's gonna be, I think that's gonna be the big discussion with conservation, and I'll go to I can go to their meeting about that, to figure out how they wanna handle that, because if we're not going to do something immediately with the cove, landscaping and things like that, then we need to have the sand not removed, because I don't think they'll let us remove it, but we need to have it churned. Is churning the sand changing the cove? I'm under the impression, no, it's just churning the sand.
I don't think we need, they're okay to remove the sand.
We do.
We do. No, I'm
Well,
not even talking about removing it right now. but-
Right, but no, well, we met with them, and I think they were okay with us getting rid of the sand. They wanted a notice, which I started the notice of intent, and I have it working, on the beach plan for the waterfront and the grass and all that. But I think to get rid of the bees, they were okay with us, because we talked to Jameson about getting rid of the sand, like immediately, and he advised that we wait until the spring, because his trucks were going in a plow, blah, 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 blah. So we kind of were put on hold with that, but I think we can remove the sand. It's just not gonna make the beach pleasant, by
I just wanna
removing
have
that
it
sand.
Yeah.
Right,
And
but it'll
safe.
get rid of the bees. It will get rid of the bees.
So,
I mean, if we can, like, I just heard some mixed messages that we can't even touch the beach without the conservation.
so what I would suggest we do is, Dory, when you talk to Frank, the conservation agent, can you please just ask him if he can move the sand, if we need to go to conservation about that. If they say, no, if you're gonna remove the sand because the bees, just remove it, and we'll go in that process, but, I want them to be clear that if they want us to remove it, and want us to go to the conservation meeting and file a notice of intent to remove it, then we just need to do that now.
Yeah.
So we can get that all.
Yeah, that's easy. If they need a notice of intent of us removing the sand, I'm stuck on the landscaping portion of it and all that stuff, which is, where I ended with it. But I have a lot of it done already, so, but the sand wasn't part of that, because I believe they told us in their meeting we could remove the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking for clarification on that to make sure that we can actually go ahead and proceed. So, do we need a motion to table that discussion?
But yeah, if you would, please.
Yeah, okay. I'll entertain a motion to table the discussion for the Jesse Consulting Service proposal from Campbell Money and Cranberry Cove.
So,
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Awesome. Okay, so next one, discussion on applications for the Cove staffing and event caretakers. Okay, so there is a couple applications we got. Now, so I saw one of these applications, Lori, one of them had gatekeeper.
Yeah.
So do they know that we're not gonna have gatekeepers yet?
Well, it's still posted.
posted.
It's still posted.
Yeah, I never took it down, so.
Okay, so,
I did call this person, but I haven't been able to get through there isn't a voice message on the machine. I called a couple times to see if they would be interested in being a part-time event caretaker.
yeah, I just don't want to be bamboozled when
Oh, yeah.
they realize that there's not really much to do down in Gatehouse.
Yeah,
Running security. Okay, so I'm gonna just focus on Ella first. I'm actually just gonna focus on Ella for the duration until we get in touch with, I think this is Shelley? Shelley, okay. So until we get in touch with Shelley for clarification, that she knows we don't actually have a gatekeeper, I'm gonna table her application for right now. So we can go ahead and discuss Ella, Peggy.
So do we discuss these, or do we just have interviews?
Instead of interviews,
Yeah.
So would we discuss it, vote to bring him in for an interview, and then? Okay.
It's usually whoever, chair, whatever, and then I would think Maddie would want to say, or at least to be in person.
I just guess.
At least to be clear.
Me and Sheila are going to the interviews. Okay, so does anybody have any discussion about this? Since it's on the agenda?
No, I don't think so. I
Sheila?
think, she's picked so many age.
I didn't see an age on here. Is there an age on here?
No, I know.
we were trying to figure it out.
I'm assuming she's.
Her
Yeah.
employment started back in 1984, and she's like, she's gonna be older, blah, 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 and I said,
Not
Shelley.
Ella. Not Ella. Ella is not 1984.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so Shelley, correct. Shelley, we're going to table over here because we don't have a gatekeeper, so.
Gotcha.
But Ella, on the other hand, I'm kind of surprised when you see the.
Well, she did check off the
you know, under 18, she has.
She should work permit, so,
Yes, she's under 18.
Yeah, but so there's a difference between being under 16 for functions and being under 18, right?
It changes your hours, so like, it's only work until a certain hour of the night, it's like weekdays versus weekends, school year versus not school year, there's a lot more kind of restrictions to their hours.
what is it,
Drop.
under 18?
I think it's under 16.
Oh, under 16.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned it before, it with interest, but they were 16, like a half, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think it's only during the school year, I think that's the big one, and then, like, it's, like, they can't work after 10 or something. So like, if it was a late night wedding, they might just do an opening or a middle.
Okay.
And then obviously they can't touch alcohol at the end, so we are responsible for like cleaning that basement.
Okay, awesome. So, okay. I mean, I'd like to bring Elle in for an interview with Lisa, I believe it is.
It's
Lisa.
typically like, it was in the past, the chairman and Lisa
Okay.
did the interviews for the last round.
Okay, yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, I'd be interested in that, so. So no discussion, anything else in that? No, awesome. Okay, so we don't need to vote on that, so. Okay, discussion on opening Cranberry Cove. Okay, so a couple things I want to get done with this discussion, just so we're all on the same page. I want to establish a date where we're actually opening the cove. I want to establish, make it clear if we're going to front the cove or have some general risk. And then I want to establish and have some sort of protocol on what we're going to do about the bees. If they come back this year, we'll take out blue. And also the black board as well, because that's another issue. So I will open it up to discussion about the Cranberry Cove opening date.
I think we already talked about the day, yeah.
Okay. With the,
Just 3 days before.
was it 3 days prior? Okay.
Because the last day of school is the 22nd of June.
What was the meeting? The last meeting that we had a discussion about something else we know, but there was not just the.
We did pick the dates to open and close, because it had to be, there's a standard you have to follow. You remember, it has to be, we picked the dates that were in line with what the state requires.
Okay.
I have it.
Okay, so if we already discussed the opening of it.
Yes.
So, okay, we're gonna need to have discussion on whether it's gonna be fully staffed or it's gonna be swim at your own risk.
So I think it should be swimming your own risk. I hate it, but I don't think that we can't hire anybody in June. We haven't had any applications. They've been posted for several weeks now. We haven't had one single application for any both staff except for this one gate attendant. So, and we have the bee issue. So, I feel like I said before that we should be putting money into restoring the cove this summer and swimming at our own risk.
Does that have the bathrooms open?
What did we do with the bathrooms? I think they can be, Diane has worked something out. Maddie, do you remember what the bathroom situation at the Cove was last year? Or Jen, do you guys remember the bathroom situation at the Cove last year?
They opened the south end.
We opened the south end.
Yeah.
Is this swimming your own risk?
Yeah.
We left the bathrooms on the beach closed, and we left the south end bathrooms.
Because, yeah,
Go ahead.
the reasoning for that, Mr. Chairman, was that if we opened the, since swimming your own risk, we close the bathrooms, if we open the bathrooms, the feeling from town council was you're allowing people to come in and use the bathroom, and you may put us at more risk. So for swimming your own risk, keep the bathrooms closed. We did have the south end
Was there
restrooms
any
open.
issues? Was there any issues last year? Did you have the Southern bathroom?
No. I think they were respectful of picking up the trash, and there weren't any issues to my
We had a
knowledge.
gatekeeper open the gate in the morning,
Yeah, we
right?
opened at 8, yeah, closed at 6, or however we did
One of
it.
the, sorry,
Go ahead.
last year when we left the south end bathhouse open all the time, in the morning, the caretaker, didn't matter which one we were doing, we would always go down, unlock it, and we turned on, we leave it open until like, what was it, 5 or 6. And then like another one, or if someone was still here, like take a call, and I would come back, just sit down and lock it.
We closed the gate.
Okay, awesome. Is there any other discussion about the swim at your own risk? No? Any
I
discussion?
think just in regards to the applications, just because I was looking it up after doing that last time, it's very standoffish, like it doesn't really seem like we're looking for applications. Like next year, if we're gonna open, it needs to definitely be
more clear before now, because you have kids coming home for spring break till like March.
Right.
And they want to find a summer job, where now they're already back, and they're just, but when I looked at it, it was like, it basically said, we're still discussing. And, you know, this is what's typically posted. And the application is there, but it doesn't really, probably so much to fill it out.
Okay, so,
That makes sense.
okay, so I
Where is
mean,
that? Because I posted them on our, are you looking on our Facebook page?
No.
Yeah.
But, all right, coming from someone that's not on social media.
I pushed that out hard,
Yeah.
like all that posted it, I still like even, like,
It comes up like that.
the town website?
But keep in mind, if you're looking for younger kids to come in, you're not finding them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but there's also another issue too, right, is, we don't pay, lifeguards, like, the YMCA, like, Chick-fil-A's hiring $90 an hour. Like, and the YMCA lifeguards who are certified there are probably making $20, $25 an hour. You know, what would we pay, 17, something like that, I mean, so, I think next year when we have a little bit more of a budget, we have a little bit more of a, hopefully, we have more of a balanced budget, a little bit more cash we can use for it, we can go back and discuss what we'll be paying for lifeguards and things like that for a seasonal position. But I'm on the same impression that Marjorie is, that I'm just going to switch over.
And we also have Margaret coming in with her program too, so, I mean, that is gonna bring in a lot of beach activity too, you know, with her swim lessons, and, you know, maybe this is the new thing for the Cove, you know, is that it's free all the time, and, you know, we have these programs coming in the morning that just do swim lessons, and maybe a swim team, and, you know, the rest of the time it's swim at your own risk. I mean, it could be the new.
I mean, the other thing, you're right, because the other thing too, like, since I've been on the commission too, we never made a lot of money. Even when we were operational and lifeguards, it was always just to hopefully break even.
Yeah.
We never used it for revenue,
No,
really, it was just
you
to
always
cover.
funded the Cove.
Yeah.
It's always funded by the
I
camp.
think personally, it's more appealing to me, it's like a real
Yeah.
restaurant to come in and.
It is no,
Yeah.
it is.
So, yeah, I mean, and the only concern that I would have is the bathrooms. We have a bathhouse here, we should figure out a way the town council or the town will let us open the bathrooms down there. I mean, especially for Margaret, right? She has 30 kids down there, she shouldn't have to walk all the way up to the south end she should be able to open the bathroom down there. So, I don't know if we can talk to Lisa again.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe get a second opinion on the
That's a different
bathrooms.
story now, right?
Yeah, because she's gonna be down there for a program, so maybe we can have it open, and if she's down there from the same hours that we have the beach open for, we can close the bathroom down there at 3 maybe, if something's, you know,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
So, okay, so the first thing I'll do, since there's no more discussion on the actual, swim at your own risk, I'll entertain a motion to open Cranberry Cove, for swim at your own risk.
So moved.
Okay, second, is there a second? Okay, Melissa, second, all those in favor? Awesome, thank you very much. Okay, the next discussion is what are we gonna do with Cranberry Cove? We don't really have the money to do it right now, but I feel like we should plan for when we do have money.
Right.
So does anybody have any ideas, discussion?
Well, we talked about doing with the conservation is obviously getting rid of the sand and then bringing in loom and grass seed. Now, we might not be able to do that at the beginning of the summer because if we're gonna have kids in there all summer trampling on all that stuff, we can't obviously plant grass, so that might be like a fall project. But we should definitely get everything in, approved, and plans in place, and it gives us plenty of time to get all of that done for. Hopefully, when you talk to Frank, he can tell us that, yes, you can remove the sand from the beach. I don't think we need to remove it from the entire beach. I think we just need to remove it from the section that's isolated where the bees are.
These are on the entire beach though.
I thought they were only on one part.
It's a good 80% of it.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I avoided it since I knew
Yeah.
it was there.
I mean, everything closer to the water is all bees.
Yeah,
Back towards the bathhouse, not so much. But that's the main part of the whole beach.
I mean, the other thing too is, you know, we didn't really have this problem up until last year. You know, a lot of it, we were talking, you know, it didn't occur until after we took all the trees down.
right.
So, you know, maybe a part of the plan is to plant new vegetation, bushes, you know, maybe some more trees, you know, along that edge line to kind of protect that. Because that's what the bees, that's what they like. They like
They like the sand, but the
Right.
grass will also because we do have to keep it sand
Up to
until,
15 feet,
yeah,
10,
15
feet or
feet
something.
from the,
Because there was always, since I've been here, there's always been bees off to, like, the left-hand side, away from stuff, but they were always there. And this year, for some reason, they migrated to the whole
Because there's no
place.
groups,
Yeah,
there's no trees, right?
No trees, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever changed, you might be right.
I mean, that's all I can think of is that was a drastic change when we took all those trees down.
Yeah.
So, well, we didn't take them down.
Yeah.
So,
It just happened.
okay, so that's fine. I mean, we can table that discussion for more towards, but we do need to figure out a remediation plan or some, like, action plan for these goddamn bees. Because at the moment, I'm gonna get a call, I know it, and somebody's gonna be like, I got stung by a bee, and I'm just gonna be down here every day. So, yeah, so once we hear back from conservation, we'll put it on the next agenda, just discussion about the sand and the bees and things like that. Maybe if we tarp it early enough, so maybe if we start tarping in May, no, Roger?
Tarping was a waste of time. Every time we lay the tarps down, the people swim at your own risk and peel the tarps back.
Yeah, they'd move them more. Or the wind would move
but,
them more.
but what Frank's saying is if we do it early in
If we do it from like, I'm just saying like now until June 23rd, from when we open up the beach.
I think you'd have a better chance if you stockpile that the sand in a big pile and disrupt them, and then when you're ready to open the beach, lay it back down and or take it out. I don't think the tarps are worth the energy put into them.
Okay,
Personal opinion.
okay.
Yeah, because they were still there.
Yeah, oh,
They
absolutely.
were still there.
Yeah, they were chewing through the tops, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were chewing through the freaking tops. Okay. So, yeah, the things are like it was like Alien versus Predator, like the things they were crazy, and they weren't small. I mean, some of them I saw some of them, they were decent.
And if you miss them off, they're gonna bite you.
Yeah, so I mean, like, yeah, so, okay, we'll have a better answer once we talk to conservation, so that'll be the top agenda item for next. Melissa?
So my other, and I don't know, you're probably gonna hit this, but the bladder wart.
The bladder wart, yes, so
That's a separate, but,
that's another issue. We're gonna have to break the bladder wart.
and I don't know where I mean, I know that it's probably not in the towns, I mean, I know that they were talking about it at meetings and stuff, and I know there's probably gonna be no money for it, but it's not just our issue.
And plus, we can't do anything with it, it's not our pond. So I went to the conservation a couple months ago, me and Audrey went to the conservation, there was a couple different options we can do with bladder wart. One of them was like an aquaside solution, it doesn't harm anything else. The problem is we can't just throw that in our section of the pond. We can't throw it in the pond anyway, because conservation, we need to approve it, but they essentially told us, and Audrey can correct me if I'm wrong, take it and break it. And
So is that going to be, so that would be a caretaker task for the summer, right? To be able to maintain and keep up with the bladder wart, like in the swimming area?
Also, it's the weed that comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You
we
guys-
do what we can.
Yeah, we read it up, you know, that, and all that.
Yeah.
but the thing, I mean, it's just gonna continue, like, it's just gonna continue.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be fixed, so it's gonna.
No, I mean, a temporary, just to get, it make it be safe for people to swim.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do that, but the problem is you're gonna rake it for 1 hour, and then 2 hours later, it's gonna be right back.
Yeah.
It's consistent, and the problem is it's with the entire pond, is everybody else. So, one of the things that, I'm sorry, Jim, just give me one second.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I know Sheila lives near Old Pond, but that Old Pond is technically Pembroke. They have a machine that they use over their pond and they clean that. Is there any way that we could?
So I explored that option as well. The only problem with that is that you cannot have motorized boats.
Oh, dear,
You have to be able, and I don't want to be the one going out there with a rowboat.
Yeah.
And, because that machine essentially what it does is it skims with a 30-foot tarp. It just picks up all the bladder wart on a certain distance of the water. I'm a bladder wart expert. So it skims it, and it's essentially a 30-foot long tarp, and it just takes up all the bladder wart that's there, and you skim around the whole pond. So the first time you hit anything on that, I don't even think you can pull the rowboat, but I think we could probably, if we went that route, would we do the whole pond? Would we like have a caretaker come and do the whole pond? Probably not. I mean, we could do just our section of it, but we could maybe get an exception to use a motorized boat in there with that particular, but even when I brought that up to conservation, they didn't really have any interest in that either. They essentially told us to shut up.
So one thing that Phil Clements did suggest, and I actually loved it because it's all about fun.
Not the car. Wasn't the car.
No, not the car. is like a Ladder War rodeo, where like you make it an event. So like, you know, people come out with their paddle boards and their canoes and whatever, and they, you know, go out and they scoop it and they put it in their boat and they bring it back, you know, and kind of, you know, make it into like an event where, you know,
We can weigh it.
weigh in and, you know, like that, you know, that kind of thing, you know, like it could be.
Well, actually, this year,
Yeah.
Every other town that that boat goes into is gonna be wicked pissed off.
Yeah.
What is it called? It's like a.
It's black.
Ladder.
What
do you say?
Ladder, like your bladder.
Ladder board.
W-R-T,
W-R-T.
yeah, W-R-T. So, you know, and this is kind of getting, it's on subject, but kind of off subject. So the town, I think they were thinking about making a pond committee. So.
Which I think they did, right? Did they do that at town meeting?
No, they didn't do it yet. They had a pond.
Oh, they
had a
did
pond-
the budget. They did the budget.
Pond management budget line. But they were thinking about making a pond committee, which everybody here knows how committees work. So it will be done by 2030, so, you know, we'll have no issue by 2030 when the pond's already dried up,
So I just get worried, like, I'm just having a 7-year-old, I'm just worried about people swimming and safety. And I feel like, you know, what is the legal, should we put signs up? Should we, you know, alert people? Should we get legal counsel to advise us on what we need to post to, I mean, I guess it's your own risk, but.
I swim at the beach next to the cove, and I don't think it's deep. Like, I don't know what the danger is with it,
For us,
other
it's
than it's
probably
gross.
not. For us, it's probably not. For a kid who is 4 or 5 years old, they can get 10. For me, no. I mean, I would just shovel through, right? But I think for a kid 4 or 5 years old, it would be a little bit. The problem is, I don't want to have it get to the point where we can figure out how bad it's going to be.
No,
because there's cases of that.
I've been in it, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think I didn't know it was dangerous. Like, I didn't think.
When you go for the other people do laps, like past the docks, you know, if they get caught up in it, or it's caught in their legs, and, you know, I just get, you know, I get nervous with that stuff.
There's some cases of things happening with people swimming and they have it there, they get tangled and stuff like that, mostly with people who don't know how to swim. So I just don't want to be on the other end of that. So, you know, it's an issue with the whole pond. I know multiple residents of the pond, everybody's.
Right, oh, yeah.
So,
You should put a big sign that says ladder, or be warned, you know,
Don't forget warnings.
So,
We need it.
but we'll put that, if you want to put that in the discussion for next agenda,
Yeah,
go ahead.
we can
Sorry,
allow
we should
ordinance
move on.
next time.
So, there's nothing else to do with the Cranberry Cove opening. Next agenda, we'll have the conservation answer for the sand, and then we can discuss more more topics if we feel so inclined. So, okay.
Bees and
So,
black.
bees and black. So discussion on turning on the water at the camp. So this is just a discussion when we're gonna turn it. I don't wanna do it too early, I don't wanna do it too late, so.
Well, when do we start having
When
campers?
we turn it on usually, the water, we're talking, when we turn the water.
I think usually it's April or May.
I would say like the end of April, like the family camping weekend, so
Yeah,
maybe,
that's
you know, by that
another
weekend?
topic, so.
Okay,
that's
all right,
something else
well,
about it, yeah.
Maybe by then.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
talk about
All right.
that. But, go ahead, Roger, sorry.
I say sooner than later. This past week, we already turned away campers. A gentleman stopped in, wanted to tent up here. He grew up here, he had his wedding here, and we had to tell him, no, we're not open until Memorial Day.
Well, that's in our policies. I think that's in our
So
policies.
I think,
and
well, we're
procedures.
here, why aren't we open sooner than later?
I think it's May 1st. I think it's May 1st.
May 1st is what?
Camping.
We do
So,
camping. So, May 1st camping is, I mean, that's pretty standard.
yeah. Right. I think
But we're not
Yeah.
a standard campground.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean.
Most of them, they fly south for the winter, and they come back here Memorial Day, and they open up their campgrounds.
Yeah, but
We're
so.
not a typical campground.
Yeah, we're not a typical campground, but we do have to have a date that says we open up for camping this particular day, right? Like, so if we just let it open all year long, right, somebody can come in here in December, want to rent a cabin or something like that, and then there could be liabilities like.
Well, we're not saying we open year round, but other than last night, it's been, you know, it was cold, but we've been pretty warm, and one night of cold is not going to freeze the pipes. I'd like to turn them on next week, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That gives us a chance, or April 4th is when we hit that, sorry. That gives us a chance to make sure there's no leaks anywhere and get things up and running. Granted, we don't have the staff to check it for the leaks, but, because we don't have a budget for it. But sooner than later, I think it's better for us to ease into things, get things starting to liven up here.
Okay. Do you guys have any opinion on that? Or what do you guys?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I think, I don't know, I think at the end of April will probably be too.
Well, I was just thinking of the family camping weekend.
Yeah.
By then,
Yeah.
by that weekend.
Yeah. So, when do we want to have a discussion about the turn on the water? Anybody else have a date they want to throw up?
The weekend after Easter. That's the 23rd, 24th. That would be when their cleanup days here, you know, so there'll be a bunch of people here already cleaning up, trying to, you know.
Yeah, but so, I mean, I understand Roger's point of wanting to get it done so we can check for things that it's not working properly, because we do have to like filter out things like that. Like, if we don't use it, we're not paying for any water bills.
Right.
So, you know, but I also don't want to open up too early in case we have another day like today and yesterday where it was, you know, 13 degrees out. So, I mean, I would want to do it that late, but I don't think I want to do it that early.
The 9th, the weekend before
I mean,
Easter.
I was-
We're open May 1st,
Or
or
the weekend before Easter.
I just remember we always did it sometime in April, but I remember like schedules, like, okay, let's get this going.
Yeah, I recall.
Yeah,
I think based on the weather, it was really,
Yeah,
pretty much, yeah.
I think the weather was good.
like the 10th.
Yeah,
We always,
we never waited until Memorial Day or
we
anything like
always did
that.
it during camp cleanup weekend, so we always did it like mid to end of April was when it was. So, yeah, I mean.
Compromise with the week of the 11th.
Is Paul the plumber doing it, Roger, or are you doing it?
I'll do it, I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure that Jack will be able to help, he's going to help
Okay.
do that as well.
So,
Turning it on is easier than turning it off.
right. So, I mean, if you guys are comfortable that it's not gonna freeze, then I would say do it
If
whenever.
we're going to have a stretch of cold weather, up and down, turn all the waters on just a fast drip, just to keep them from freezing. But I don't anticipate that being a problem.
So, okay, so how about this? How about you guys can coordinate together, figure out a day that you guys want to turn the water back on, let us know when you turn it on.
We got the town here to actually turn it on.
They're the ones that turn it on.
Yeah.
I just get down and discuss things with them.
Yeah, so you,
I have a couple of
Jack and
things.
Jed, just figure out a day that you guys want to go do it. Make
Yeah.
sure you guys document how you did it, turn it on, everything like that, call the town, this number, and then, you know, we'll do that. You guys just tell us when you turn it on.
Yeah, we'll turn on all water heat and all that, go along with it.
Yeah, like, you know, and we should make it like every, when we decide to shut down the camp, we should shut down the water and stuff like that, you know?
The turn on should be like a window, I think, not a hot.
Yeah, so that's what,
Yeah.
okay, Maddie.
So I just noticed these steam up events popped up on the calendar, so are they gonna be outside?
Yeah.
So we should probably have them for them, because we have a retreat and steam up at the same time, so I don't know if they want to be coming in.
they're not coming in the lodge, they're probably just gonna use like the stuff in
But
back.
they want.
No, they're gonna use the lodge.
When
They
is
said they
that?
were gonna use the lodge bathroom.
Okay.
If we didn't have it open, they said they were gonna use the lodge bathroom.
That's what I say, like, maybe it's to do before that would be nice, if they don't come in during the yoga retreat that's already scheduled. They don't
So
like-
when's the?
That's the 10th of April?
It's from 10 to 11 and 11 to 12, or 11:15 to
Okay,
12:15.
can you guys figure out on the week of the 4th when you want to open up that,
Yeah.
steam up that, just make sure that it's, just work out to figure that out.
That's fine. We'll get it taken care of.
Awesome. Okay, next discussion is the camp employees, policies and procedures. So this is something that the board of selectmen wanted us to do, policies and procedures for employees. I don't think currently right now we have the employees have a policy procedure handbook or something like that.
No, we're gonna create a.
Yeah, so,
yeah.
I don't, would it be that one? necessarily be in that caretaker's manual more than it be in the, like a general. I would think of the caretaker's manual more of like this is all the tasks that we have here,
What do
like,
we have policies for caretakers?
who to call, things like that, you know,
Okay.
if you have complaints, whoever you would send that complaint to,
Okay.
chain of command, organization levels, who reports to who does what.
I can recommend that to the next
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, if you could, that'd be great, thank
Okay.
you. Is there any other discussion on that, other than we'll just put it on for next meeting or next time we're here? Okay, awesome. Request for Hanson families to utilize the field one day for baseball and grilling. Dory, who put in this request?
Renee?
Renee, so I'm gonna abstain from this then.
Yes, so this was just, it's not an organization, it's just a bunch of families. They want to get together and just play baseball in the backfield and set up grills. And it's just a group of families, friends and families, that wanted to be able to use the field one day.
It's public property, we
Yeah.
can totally do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They should have a bathroom. They wouldn't have a bathroom.
Well, they would if if it was in the summertime. then-
Oh, yeah, what is the date?
Oh, yeah, it'd be in the summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's public property, so
Yeah,
they can certainly.
They just want to set up grills and just, you
Yeah.
know, for you to know that they're going to be there, and that you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they have a date, and, you know, if they have a date, and they just want to check in with you, you know.
Yeah,
just
I'll find out the date.
You know, you could say, oh, we have a giant wedding there, just kind of, you know,
Right.
advise them on a day that
That might
would
be
be
busy,
better, you
yeah.
know, but,
Right.
I mean, they don't need to rent the camp to utilize
No.
the public areas.
It's more of a
Patty?
courtesy.
I was just saying, we wouldn't have the bathhouses open though, just randomly, but they're not open during the day. It must be an event going on. We could open
That's
them.
true.
Right.
Yeah.
So we could open the north end.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that that field's mowed too before they come in.
Yeah,
About it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
If Renee's with them, then she'll keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she'll have
Right.
that. That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more of a courtesy request, so
Sure.
you're on board and are totally okay with it.
Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Is it a weekend, do you know?
I'm not sure I did.
Frank knows.
I'm gonna abstain from any other thing, but I'll tell you that, so, you know, me, Renee, her husband, we're all part of a group of football families, and we do baseball, like play all the sports together, things like that, so I will be here during that whole day when we set it up. It's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be like anything crazy, like, we're essentially just gonna bring like, maybe like a charcoal grill down there, and, you know, some hot dogs and hamburgers for the kids, and have them play around and get lost in the thorns, so.
Yeah. No, my whole thing was just the bathroom, and I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. We have a friend who lives 2-3 minutes up in Woodbine, so, you know, if we need to use the bathroom, we'll go with it.
Because we don't have, I'm just saying, because we don't have the caretakers to pay.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
no, that's my mistake.
And plus,
Yeah, but
Renee will be
Frank
there
is a
too.
commission member and Renee is a caretaker, they could certainly utilize the bathhouses and they would be staff on, you know,
Yeah, I
volunteers.
think we're technically considered staff, so.
Yeah.
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 Privileges.
Yeah.
Staff. Get to open the bathroom.
And then you're gonna carry like a key on a chain and bring everything.
You know what, I certainly, well, I'm gonna have multiple keys on there too, so it takes me a minute to figure out which one it is. Blank keys. So,
But yeah, I would just let her know, Dory, that it's public property, but just that if she wants to just check in on, you know, like a good weekend or whatever, just
Oh,
based on what it
absolutely.
is, but yeah.
Okay, so next item, if we're done with that one, is the status of the fiscal year 22 budget, so I'll let Dory take this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as a standing item, it's the FY22 budget, pretty much similar to what it was the last meeting. Just the salary really is changing, no big expenses. I'll get into the roof repair, that was a big expense, but that's taken out of the recreation, ventilation, and kitchen article. So we're going along as planned, as I say every time we talk about it. We probably will need an end of the year transfer from expenses to salaries. So we're cutting it close, but I think we're going to be okay.
Any discussion on that fiscal year 22 budget?
No, I'm pulling it up.
Limited hours, limited caretaker hours at this point.
Yep.
That's-
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that, you know, I personally appreciate all the caretakers and all the extra work that you guys do. You guys have done awesome. I really hope next year we don't have the same situation. So play. Hopefully next year everybody can get a good amount of hours and, we can work through this whole thing. So that's what we're working for. So, is there any discussion on that? If not, I'll just move on to the next item. Awesome. Team reports. Does anybody have anything to report?
I just wanted to talk about events. So Melissa and Caroline and I are going to meet one day next week. I started putting together a whole list of kind of fun things that would be, interest me. I don't know if they're going to interest many people, but I tend to throw a good party, so. And I know that, Frank, I talked to you a little bit. I want to get some clarification on that whole question, like how, with our events, like things that we do, like I only have obviously that Winter Wonderland thing that cost me a lot of money under my belt so far. So I'm just trying to find out, how do we go about, like, all right, let me just say, for instance, if we wanted to do something that could bring in some sort of profit but needed to get it going, and to be able to utilize, like, say, the lodge for things or things outside, like, how does that work in terms of putting events out for the town?
So before Audrey joined the commission, it would have been an absolute pain in the ass to do that. But since then, she figured out that we can use, was it Eventbrite? So if you have an event here, and we can charge for recreation here, right, Dory? So if we have an event here, we can, so for example, like Audrey, wants to put together the play. So the play would probably use Eventbrite passes, and you have to show your ticket, and it's easily reportable to the town clerk and or the town accountant and everything like that. So there's no issue with us, obviously charging for recreation that's here, as long as you use a proper reporting method for the money that we got.
But we would have to charge for events. We can't, like, right now we can't.
Right.
The Recreation Commission can't. There's
No,
no fund.
that was my idea for all of these.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but we can use Eventbrite to do
So-
things.
But are we
Yeah.
permitted to use the lodge? Do we have to be
Yes.
set up as a vendor? Like, how does all of that?
We have our own
work?
insurance.
Yeah.
So
The town umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay.
So technically, if you had an event, say you want to do, something here, like a town barbecue or something like that, all you have to do is bring it up and you have to vote in order for you to use the lodge property in order to do that.
Okay.
So that's it. There's no, we have our own insurance here, with everything like that, so we don't have to worry about that.
And I think too, Sheila, when we'll do like, for every event that we do, we'll do like a budget and then make sure like we have the caretaker fees in that, if we don't have to open, whatever. We need caretakers, that's where the expense will come. But other than that, like we'll be volunteers, it'll be us,
Okay,
So-
all right.
So,
But as far as expenses too, Sheila, like you said, it's cost you a lot of money. The town has an Amazon account, so if you needed to order anything from Amazon, Dory, you should be able to order that right through the selectman's office.
You can use Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
it does come out of our budget though.
Right, it comes out of our, yeah. we
So-
pay
But it would have to, we have to have an event budget for every event
Right.
and then make sure it comes out of the registration fees that we take.
Right, right.
We'd have to manage it individually because we can't cover funds out of our budget for these events.
Yep.
So on,
And hopefully, hopefully
on
Frank's, budget here too.
we have
you know,
5,000 listed
yeah.
for special events,
Yeah,
10,000.
so we'll have to
listed.
start up and then we'll just build into
Yeah,
that.
that was the whole point of this. It was
Yeah.
$10,000. If we want to spend $2,000 on an event, and if it only brings in $2,000 cost, great. Like,
Right.
that doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
hopefully that'll give us. That's what we had with the spectacular. We had the issue with the Winter Wonderland. We didn't even have to start our money to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So this will give us a little bit of.
Yeah.
So you should be all set. You should be all set. Jenny, just anything that you have that you want to approve and have give us a date.
Great.
Just-
Yeah.
just
So we're
send
gonna
it.
be kind of, pick through some of the stuff that makes sense. I was just kind of Googling things. I was pulling things from lots of like other surrounding towns, ideas, things that they do. So I got a list of some stuff we can go over.
So one more thing on events, no, not the event team. I do not have the time with the fiscal stuff to do the family camping weekend this year. I don't have the time to do the family camping plan this year. Sucks because I really wanted to do it, but I'll have to run around. Hopefully we can do it next year. I just haven't had the time with budgets and kids and all things like that. Maddie?
All I'll say is, because of our events, do we have a plan to do a spectacular this year? Because I know we were struggling with dates.
I don't think we have a date for it.
To do what? I'm sorry.
This
what?
is
Spectacular.
Oh,
so called the event every
yeah.
year. I only ask because it's like the only consistent thing that we've had in a while, like the same event every year. Like,
Okay.
to go with the
So
days.
you look
We
at
canceled last year.
I think we talked, I don't think there's a date.
Yeah, I don't think there was a date, we were going into like November, and we were like, all right, that's too late.
Yeah, because we're booked, I mean, I'm looking at the calendar now, it's October.
Can we, so Maddie, if you want to do the, if you can look at the calendar with the events and everything like that, figure some slots you think you might want to have a spectacular. I mean, I wouldn't even mind it being in like
What about
September.
2023, can we like earmark that now?
We should have-
That's fine, I just mean, it'll be 2 years since we did one.
No, I know, but at least let's get that date
Yeah.
settled so that it doesn't get booked.
Yeah.
Can you check 2023, what's that?
I can do it right now.
So,
She's got, she's in it.
How can you view what's booked?
There's a Google Calendar, and Tori can
give you
Yeah,
access.
Tori will give you access to it.
Yeah.
And then,
So
right, you just have read-only access,
Yeah.
so you'll be able to just see what's happening, but, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be some ideas of what we can come to.
Yeah.
The 29th.
Yeah, so Maddie, so Halloween is a Tuesday, so we can do the 28th or the 29th, that's a Saturday, Sunday before. That's
is that 2023?
23. The other thing too, I mean, we could try to fit in, we maybe not make it like a Halloween, we could make it like a fall event.
That's what I'm saying, if we did like the first couple weeks, if we did like, 2 weeks, in like September, October, something, if we could find any date within that time, like September, October, that we could
Or even
possibly.
November, like November's still pretty, you know?
We can just kind of coordinate, we just won't have we can just coordinate it to fit the theme. Everybody still has their costumes.
Yeah.
First 3 weeks of November, so, I mean, honestly, so.
Great.
So, if you could do me a favor, just find some dates that you might want to do that, Maddie, and we'll kind of go from there. We can discuss it next meeting, or if we got dates.
I was gonna say, if they're thinking November, could we do it one of the playset building things at the Walker? There's no events happening.
Yeah,
So like November 13th is the earliest after,
Yeah.
there's no events.
yeah,
I think November 13th.
that's great, because it's gonna be mostly outside anyway, so, yeah,
Oh, we can play.
yeah.
It's just playset building stuff.
Yeah, and so, and like I said, everybody has the Halloween costume 2 weeks after that.
So
My
do
kids
you
wear it
want-
for months after they do it, so.
Do you want to put that, do you want to vote on that now, then, to do that, and then maybe get the 2023 date booked in there now too? All right, so I will make a motion to have a spectacular fall event on November 13th, 2022.
So,
Okay, all those in favor?
And then 2023, we want to add that in, we can do October, we do Sunday or Saturday?
We usually do Sunday, but we could do Saturday. It's up to you guys.
Do Sunday.
Sunday, so Sunday, October 29th of 2023.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have the Halloween Spectacular on October 29th, 2023.
so moved.
All those in favor? Okay,
Awesome.
all right. October, so that's Sunday, sorry, 2023.
I'm sorry, what's the date? The 29th.
October 29th for
We'll put
2023.
it on the calendar, she was just saying, it is going to be.
October is the busiest month.
For whatever comes in, we're going to have to, you go to November. Yeah, probably. Figure it out.
We move the weddings to November, or we?
No,
No,
so
that's
that's
okay.
I don't think we should.
Yeah.
Or do you want to just pick November?
I'd rather have a
We
spectacular.
talked about that before.
Yeah, no, so I would rather keep the 29th.
I mean, we
Yeah.
don't put that much time and effort into just get to.
That's a lot of effort.
I mean,
I'm just thinking revenue, weddings are our biggest revenue, so.
Yeah, I mean,
But if the chance it comes up, it would be one, it's not like we're.
Right.
Sure.
And-
Yeah.
you know, if they wanted to do another week or something like that, I get the point. It is a biggest thing, but like we also have to have
I get it, yeah.
It's a balance.
easy.
Yeah.
So,
And to Maddie's point, it's the only consistent recreation that we're providing to the town right now. I mean, we've got a list and we're gonna do a lot more, but it's been,
there's some things we just shouldn't change, I guess.
yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're gonna lose people like
Right.
that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what I would also like is, and Maddie, can you add Sheila and Caroline onto the events calendar as we
Yeah, I can do it on my phone, but I can do it.
Yeah, that's fine,
Yeah.
just if you guys can send your email over to Maddie so she can give you access to that calendar, so you guys are on the events team. And what I would say, Sheila, is I would say if you have events that are there, book it fast, I guess,
Yeah.
because, for 23, if you want to do stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
So that way, if we're, and then when we meet, we'll vote on them, and they'll go in hard, you know, like,
Right,
you know.
okay.
But at least Dory can pencil them in, so if a wedding calls, you know, for the date, then we can discuss it at the meeting. Okay?
If a wedding does book for that day,
I
just
just bring
just
you
let
in
us
and
know.
discuss, yeah.
Just
And
let us
then you
know.
might, if you want, right, it's like, exactly.
If it's,
Yeah,
just
we'll
let
discuss it then.
Yeah, we'll discuss it then. Right now. Okay, so I'll hand off to Dory, your updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the roof repair update is a good one. So the roof shingles have all been fixed above the kitchen. While they were here, they also patched the roof on the storm damage over here.
I saw with the same shingles too.
With the same shingles. They actually took the shingles off the back that nobody can see, moved them up front with some other shingles. So unless you're in a or something in the lawn, you won't even notice. So they did a great job in that, and and then last week the insulation was blown in. That's completely done, that whole project. And tomorrow Scott Sheetmetal is coming at 7:30 in the morning. Thank you, Roger. He's going to be meeting with them to get set on that. That's the third piece of the project. And then once that's set, then we just have the Hanson system, which goes in the hood, and we're good to go. With the kitchen, hook up the stove. So that went very, very, very smooth. Thank you to everybody that helped with all that. Particularly
Years in the making, I feel like.
Yeah, it's been a lot. You've been great making yourself available for.
We'll also have to have the gas taken care of as well.
And the gas taken care of as well, so I do appreciate all your availability and hard work, you're always there for me, so thank you.
Awesome. Is that all for the
That's all I have.
Awesome, okay. Caretaker reports. Right?
I don't have much, all I was gonna say this when you guys were going over, applications, I emailed 7 districts, just asking like if they could push out a job opportunity for teachers. All the surrounding towns, Gattaca, Hanson, Rockland, Halifax, Howard, Bridgewater. I just emailed superintendents to all the other districts because I didn't know who their district assistants were, because some of the websites are crazy. But I emailed our administrative assistant from my one for school, so hopefully that'll at least put Hanson out to our districts. Because I can't send it obviously district emails myself. But, so hopefully that helps. Obviously it might be a little bit of a slow roll for like them to get everything out, but maybe that'll make more.
So what I'll do is I'll actually have Megan put it on the PTO groups as well, because a lot of the PTO groups are for stuff like that, so it's a couple of hours a week and stuff like this.
And Maddie, how many are we looking to hire max? Is it?
I think we said 3. Yeah, seasonal specifically, just so that we don't have them for the whole year, because we don't need full-time. Like, we don't need part-time for the entire year, right? We just need seasonal for the wedding runs, but just to cover the weddings.
So I would expect the event coordinator to also do some events as well. So that was on the job description, so that might give a little like leeway to kind of do that. So that might fill in for maybe a half a position for an actual caretaker or something like that. So, okay. Roger?
Okay, pavers arrived for the walkway, so that project will get done pretty quick. And I did order a few extras, so I could take care of the wood stove up in the frontier, where that did not pass building inspector's approval.
So, I'm sorry, explain that to me, the wood stove.
All right,
Where you put?
we hired chimney chaps to install a chimney right there.
Yeah.
Someone had installed, and it wasn't them, the stove into the fireplace hole. It's sitting on a piece of granite, which goes halfway under the stove, and there's 2 piece bags of cement that have just hardened up, and the stove's sitting on that. And the problem is, from the front of the stove outward, if something was to fall out of that stove, it's going to fall on the wood floor.
Okay.
So I'm going to take pavers out there and extend that out. I got to come out 18 inches.
Okay.
And then the building inspector will pass at that time.
Okay. So one thing, and it's good that you guys are here. So I don't know if you guys have done this yet. Can you, Jack and Jen, take an hour this week sometime, if you all can coordinate, and all of you guys walk through the entire camp and figure out the project list that we need to get, please, things like that needs to be fixed. I don't care who did it. I don't care who did it.
Right,
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you guys could just take an hour this week, obviously paid hour this week, walk around the camp and go through a list that you guys want to accomplish this summer. could be a wish list, anything. I don't care if you want to rebuild a cabin or something like that in the north end, just whatever you guys want, just give us a list of it so we can go through and start to coordinate projects for the summertime. So, you know, one thing that I have noticed at the camp is that when people work together, they have a lot better communication and they know what everybody's doing, right? So I want to get that more happening this year with all the caretakers, not just the facilities ones. You guys should all be in lockstep with each other, and you guys should all be able to throw ideas off each other. And you know, if you don't like this thing because it's supposed to be done that way, then discuss it and kind of figure it out. So if you guys can please do that this week or next week or something like that, just go through and make a list of everything that needs to be fixed, and then we'll go through it and make a good list for the summertime. That'd be great.
Dory, when we had our caretaker meeting, you had mentioned that you were gonna start having weekly meetings with the caretakers, just like a Thursday morning meeting. Are you guys doing that?
Not now, because we don't really have the funding for it. Right now, there's nothing that's going on, but I do have a list of projects to be done. South End, North End, Bridal, Lodge, all that. So I have not started the weekly meetings yet, but that's something that I definitely want to do. I think that that's very important. Once like the season picks up and May,
Yeah, because we still got a lot of cleanup to do,
Yeah.
Oh,
Before anything
absolutely.
else.
I'm working on trying to get you guys a chainsaw. I don't, did that stump get cut?
The stump is gone.
The stump, so you guys don't need that chainsaw for right now? It can wait?
For right now, we'll manage.
Okay, so.
Do we need one in the long run?
Yeah, I understand
Yes.
that. Yeah, I understand that fact. I'm just trying to make sure that you guys don't need it right now, because I was gonna go buy a 20-inch chainsaw and just have you guys use it, so. That's good, because I want to.
We're stationary, have access to one.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, if you guys can do that, that'd be great. Just give, you guys don't have to bring it to like a, you know, the board meeting. You can just bring it to me, well, project list or Dory, or just you can figure it out that way, so.
Jeff, you mentioned too that there's still a lot of cleanup to be done. Do you guys have like a list of what needs to be cleaned up? Because I would come up on a Saturday and do something. Like I'll volunteer, you know, yeah, I mean, so.
Yeah, it's just a lot of like branches from trees that have been down that are gonna be hauled off down to the backfield and got out of the way, I mean.
So if family camping weekend isn't gonna happen, I wonder if we should make that a family camp cleanup day. Like we used to have a camp cleanup day, we would get, you know, pizzas for everybody, you know, we would spend the day doing, you know, sweeping out all the cabins and picking up all the shrubs. We had like a structured list of, you know, we had the camp sectioned off and you know, be like, this group go do this and this group go do that. Do you think that would make sense? Is the end of April too late, in your opinion? We used to do it around my birthday weekend, which is Easter weekend.
One thing that I'll do, I'll wait to see what this Hanson green thing is.
Well, that would be the weekend after. So the weekend of the family camping weekend, if we still made that, it would be the weekend after. So it would be, you know, after the Green Hanson came in and did their thing. You know, Green Hanson might come in and pick up litter and stuff like that. I don't know that they're gonna
be dragging
they're not gonna,
branches.
and cleaning up cabins and that sort
What
of
was
stuff.
the date originally for your?
The May 1st, I believe it was.
Oh,
Weekend of
okay.
May 1st.
Yeah, so it's the last weekend in April.
Okay.
The 30th, whoops.
30th and the 1st.
Yeah. And I think the first now has a steam up program, like thing. So maybe we make April 30th, like a camp cleanup day. We would advertise it. We used to get tons of volunteers that would come in and.
And that's what, like Saturday type thing?
Yeah, it's a Saturday morning and usually we get pizza donated, you know, too, and, you know, just have like a.
That doesn't start till the 10th, April 10th, that's the first day.
May 1st.
May 1st was the family.
Oh,
camping.
sorry.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, scratch that.
Yes.
I would say, I'm sorry, I think we did this a couple years ago, but we had like National Honor Society come do hours.
Yeah.
I could talk to, Emily is one of the advisors for Builders Club at the middle school, so like they might want to come and help.
I can talk to the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
We used to have confirmation kids too. They would be a whole crew that needed hours for their confirmation would come. And like I said, we would have the camp kind of sectioned off and with different tasks that we wanted to have done. And we would have, you know, more seasoned caretakers like Roger and Jack doing, you know, more technical things or whatever, but to open the camp, like turning the water on and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
we can attempt it.
We can, yeah,
So,
we can
I mean, what if
attempt it.
they got their list put together
Yeah.
in the next week, and then we could, the next time around, like, we could start divvying up
Yeah.
and post for volunteers?
Yeah.
and
The big thing
Do,
is,
I mean, something's better than nothing.
Right.
the big thing is just finishing up the brush that is falling down, tree
Yeah.
cuttings and stuff like
We
that.
we had a
And raking
huge
the,
bonfire in the middle, so
Yeah.
they would bring, you know, the stuff up and everything went into the fire pit. The fire department knew about it. I think we had a hose even connected, yeah.
Burn down the basement.
And whatever space we was throwing on the trailer and drag down the back.
Yeah, well, there's that, yeah, there was that, but we had, you know, we always had a huge fire going
Yeah.
for brush and stuff, and so,
Do you guys want to put that on the agenda for the 11th meeting?
yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can figure out something. And I honestly, like, the Boy Scouts use the camp a lot.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, they don't pay for it, but maybe they can pay it back a little bit, like doing some police.
Yeah.
To get a lot of
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you got like.
You'd be
like-
surprised, you'd be surprised though.
Hey, five
It
of us,
depends on the weekend, to be
five of
honest
us
with you.
built an entire softball field.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt the fact too, but what I'm saying is, you know, it depends on the weekend, right? If it's gonna be rainy and shitty out that weekend, you're not gonna get anybody here, but if it's gonna be a nice day out, I mean, you probably, I might be out here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Roger.
Audrey, how long ago was the Jet bonfire?
How long ago was it?
The what, the jet bonfire?
It's a jet bonfire.
Had the bonfire.
Had the bonfire.
Oh, well, it was just a burn fire, you know, in the middle. It was before the fire pit was there. Actually, it was on the, off to the side.
Okay,
No, it was like, it wasn't,
reason
it
why I'm
wasn't
asking.
really huge. It was like a campfire.
Roger, sorry. When I hear bonfire, I think of like the fires they have on the beach.
Reason
Go ahead,
The
Roger,
reason
sorry.
why I ask that is because technically, we can't get a permit to burn up here. Any more than the highway department can burn their debris anywhere as well.
Okay,
Only homeowners can.
okay.
So I can
So we would be asking for forgiveness rather than permission.
Well, I know in the past the fire department knew about it. Like they were here, I believe we even had a hose hooked up.
So what we can do,
Yeah.
is when we figure out what we're gonna do
Yeah,
next week,
yeah.
look, I can qualify.
I can go talk to Jerry.
And another thing I wanna do too is I always thought it'd be cool to have smoking bear.
Yeah.
Road over there, well, the fire hazards.
Yeah.
That's not,
That's what I was doing when we put the roof. I was having all these fires out here. Nobody
Yeah.
bothered me, but other than the building inspector.
Yeah, I think if it's in a fire pit though, it's completely fine. It's just when you have.
Just have a hot dog.
I was just gonna say, all you need is one stick and a hot dog.
All right, let me move on the list here. I want to keep this all kind
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roger.
Okay, just so you guys know, I'm not taking over things, but Dory and I are working very close on a lot of things. And this one in particular is insurance. I've been 42 years of insurance business, just to catch you guys up on it. The South 16 cabin that was crushed 2 years ago. Everybody know where I'm at?
Yeah.
Okay. I just finished negotiating with them and raised another $28,425.84.
Wait,
Just have to make some work on that.
so what was the original estimate on?
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
In that money, there was $5,000 for loss of use for that building. It was not asked for before, nobody apparently knew it, and that's okay. What I'm going through Dory and she's going through, is it Todd?
Yeah, the town.
We're trying to get that money transferred into salaries.
Okay.
Because if loss of use was just like a party or whatever, that money can go into salaries. Leaving that behind, I don't have the exact figure, we've got about $24,000 on the books that we're going to lose if we don't use it by October. So what I'm looking for is the okay for Dory to go through the how do you pronounce it? Procurement, thank you. Process of putting it up to bid and having that building replaced.
Because we have to use the first half. We have to use the first half. Yeah.
So, Roger, so the original, so did we ask for like a rough quote on that? Go ahead.
So we got a quote on that, it was 2 years ago, it will be 2 years this October. So we have $24,231.32. We have to put it toward the cap, we have to build it. So Roger call the insurance company and say, hey, the price of lumber doubled, you know, could we get a better quote? And he said, yeah. So because of Roger, we now have $52,657.16. If you thought of putting in the loss of use, which was $5,000,
Yeah.
never thought of that. And so we have that money, so we have it, so I'm just gonna go to bid, and we have to do it by October.
We have to have
So it's
a
great
quote,
news.
we have a quote signed and ready to go by October, that money has to be out by October.
We have to have it, okay, we have to have it built by
Built by
October.
October.
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but we knew this. you know.
Put a $50,000 piece of plywood out there.
Yeah, we knew this, but the problem was the quote had doubled. The
Yeah.
insurance money was $24,000. We don't have the money to do it.
Right.
So now we have the insurance money, once we should be getting, as soon as we get the check, we can't do anything until that. Once we have the funding in place, we just go up 3.
So we're looking for approval on moving forward with this project.
Okay, so, no, not yet, because you need to get
We need to get the funding.
you need to get the funding first, and then you get the approval for it.
And we already have the approval, it's already, we've already approved.
Yeah,
it.
so the capital already been approved,
We're already-
what would happen is, once the funding comes in, Dory would put out an RFP right to different people.
Quotes, yeah. So it's under 50, yeah.
Okay, so,
But we need the funding before we can go ahead and do that.
Um,
They've already
And that
approved
check's
it.
supposed to be coming any day now.
Right.
okay,
So
so,
the good news is, you basically doubled the cost that we
yeah,
got.
so
And we're
honestly,
gonna
so
be-
thank you,
build capital.
Roger, I didn't know you were in the insurance industry, but I'll have you come to my house next time.
And with that money, we're also looking to hire somebody to come in and take that tree down, that should.
Yeah, because that is, yeah, so and the tree, if you guys aren't aware, so, there is one tree that needs a grade to be taken down. It needs, so, you know, I know Jack and Roger had chopped down a lot of the trees that are already here, but that one definitely needs a grade to be taken out, so we can do that, that'd be great.
If we don't take it down, it's gonna take out the new building and the one next to it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So we gotta get that.
So first off, thank you Roger for that, that's great. Is that the cabin that we wanted to put as disability accessible?
Yes,
Okay, is that still the plan for that?
I'm planning on having a 3-foot door put on it, and then depending on the grade, we may have to build a ramp on it.
Is that electrified also?
That's not set in that quote.
Okay. So is that electrified also that you wanted to do in that particular cabin, or is it, because I know there was some discussion about something.
In that figure, I also have $500 for electric.
Okay,
My plan is still to move forward until I get discouraged on having 3 of the cabins made electric.
okay,
We're still working with the electrician to put that cable underground instead of above ground.
okay, great. Is that all that you're thinking?
I got one more.
Okay,
The insurance claim we have on this building and all the buildings within, I am working with the same insurance agent, and I was hoping by tonight I would have a preliminary copy of that. I do not. We're getting very close on that.
okay,
So I'm working very close with him. He's in Texas.
okay,
So hopefully we'll have that soon. I would like to be able to take and have Jen if she's available, Ed as well, repairing some of the small jobs that we can do. Place a board here, a board there, we just can't build a structure. The building inspector will not let us do that. So there's some jobs that we'll be able to do ourselves. The nice work that was done on the roof here, there's a couple more shingles I want to put up there just for aesthetics purposes and make sure it doesn't leak. The gentleman that did the kitchen didn't get it all, but I want to finish up a couple more shingles up there.
okay, great. Once you have that insurance report, if you want to put it on the next agenda, you can let us know.
I will do it.
Or, I just have to worry out part of the time. Okay, next meeting, since there's no other. Yeah, Jen, Jack, do you guys have anything? Sorry, I thought I asked that before. Apparently I didn't, so. I thought I asked that before, but apparently I didn't. I'm sorry about that. So the next meeting would be April 11th. That's back to the Mondays. I'm sorry, I had a planning board meeting last night, so.
I won't be here.
Okay, does the 11th work for, does not work for anything else? Because if Melissa's not here, and we lose one more person, we don't.
I'm good with my
Okay. So we can do for the 11th, and then we can also do for the 25th as well. That works for everybody. That's also a Monday. Okay, 11th and 25th. We'll be here. Okay, and I'm sorry about the long agenda tonight as well. We'll try to make it more
Yeah,